easily be accomplished with a computer.
Did IQs just drop sharply while I was away?
We need you. I love lamb.
Oh, hello there!
I'm getting whiplash from my burps, eh?
Well, boys, I reckon this is it. Nuclear combat toe-to-toe with the Ruskies.
Cinderella story, out of nowhere, a former greenskeeper now about to become the Masters champion.
It looks like I'm a wreck. It's in the hole! It's in the hole!
Oh yes, hit that like, everybody. What's going on? Chat room is up. Sound is all right. I think we're there. We're getting close.
You using the whole fist, Doc?
Shut up and never say anything again as long as you live.
All right. Stop right there, and I'll bring back the sun.
Michigan gave us Motan.
Something strange happened to me this morning. Was it a dream when you see yourself standing in sort of sun god robes on a pyramid with 1,000 naked women screaming and then throwing little kickers at you? No. Maybe I'm the only person that has that dream.
All right, let's get started. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's Hal Sparks, Megaworldwide, the greatest live stream in the history of live streams. Hello, chat room, you wonderful, 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 and most wonderful, and again, wonderful people. Good to see you. Been a bit of a crazy day, as you know. There was the talk is there was a performative BS strike by Iran, and now it's all done. Now Trump has congratulated everyone, and we're going back to its peace through stench, I think is what is his plan, and that's the end of it. Hey, that's all we're gonna do. It's just it's already handled. There will be no more. There will be nothing left of all this. Hold on one second. Let me see if there's been a more recent pump and dump in these things. Yeah, here you go. This would be congratulations to everyone. This is, what is this? How long ago is this? Just now, I guess. Okay, so this is brand new, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations to everyone. It's been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire in approximately 6 hours from now, when Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their in-progress final missions for 12 hours, at which point the war will be considered ended. Officially, Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire, and upon the 24th hour, an official end to the 12-day war will be saluted by the world. During each ceasefire, the other side will remain peaceful and respectful. Okay, on the assumption that everything works as it should, which it will. I would like to congratulate both countries, Israel and Iran, on having stamina, courage, and intelligence to end what would be called the 12-day war, or should be called the 12-day war. This is a war that could have gone on for years and destroyed the entire Middle East, but it didn't and never will. God bless Israel, God bless Iran, God bless the Middle East, God bless the United States of America, and God bless the world. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. That's it. So there's going to be a staggered ceasefire where one side will cease firing and then the other side will cease firing? Yes, the 12-day war, which is twice as big as the 6-day war, and I think that's what he wanted to go for. But this is from when Israel attacked Iran this time around. It would be the 12 days of it. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire in approximately 6 hours from now. How many people think that's actually accurate? That that's actually going to be a thing? That there'll be a complete and total ceasefire? And at that point, I don't know, did he talk to Israel and they were like, it's going to take us about 6 more hours to kill the Ayatollah or wipe out whatever the next couple of bases. So everything was just performative, and Iran was bombing U.S. bases this morning, and they're going to stop. It's all over. Simmer down. We'll go back to just talking about deporting brown people. That's the Trump. That's the sinkhole. Congratulations, world. It's time for peace. That's what he posted 2 hours ago. And I'd like to thank the highly respected Emir of Qatar for all that he's done in seeking peace for the region. Regarding the attack today in the American base in Qatar, I'm pleased to report that in addition to no Americans being killed or wounded, very importantly, there have also been no Qataris killed or wounded. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That weird memo phrase, like he's putting stuff in a complaint box. Iran has officially responded to our obliteration of their nuclear facilities with a very weak response, which we expected and have very effectively countered. All right. There have been 14 missiles fired, 13 were knocked down, and one was set free because it was headed in a non-threatening direction. Set free. So it's just flying around looking for a target. Maybe somebody will, turn it into a pet. You'll have the intercontinental ballistic missile of Man of Alcatraz. I'm pleased to report that no Americans were harmed and hardly any damage done. Most importantly, they've gotten it all out of their system, in quotes. Whatever the fuck that means. And there will hopefully be no further hate. I don't know that you can end the hate part. I think it's the actual killing and blowing up of shit that matters. I'm not ready to police people's emotions in this. I want to thank Iran for giving us early notice, which made it possible for no lives to be lost and nobody to be injured. You don't think that's going to come back around to haunt people? Okay. Perhaps Iran can now proceed to peace and harmony in the region. Peace and harmony in the region. And I will enthusiastically encourage Israel to do the same. Thank you for your attention to this matter, which is very fucking weird. Donald Trump. That's it. Yeah. That's the entirety of it. It's all over now, and that's a wrap. So I guess thanks everybody, and that'll be that. And all it took was some bombing of some places, and Trump throwing around the N-word, I guess, nuclear, and then Thomas Massey is going to get primaried, and that's that, I guess. So, all right, what else you guys want to talk about? ChatGPT wrote that. I don't think it writes shit that dumb. I don't know how you'd have to train it to actually say that. Now, obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on in spite of it. Apparently, I don't know if you know this, but apparently Democrats are all for this. Democrats wanted the bombing of Iran. We've been pushing it for a long time. And finally, our hero, Donald John Trump, came to his senses and did what we've been asking for this whole time, according to Jimmy Dore. This is Dems All Fall in Line is the title. Dems are 100% behind Trump's Iran war. I don't know why 100% behind is, maybe that's an ass reference. Maybe that was Jimmy and what's his name don't do, Metzger, they don't do cheap shots. Let's see. I'm sure Dems are all behind this. I'm sure there's, I probably missed it. You probably missed it. There was a press conference today, and all the Senate Dems got and said, finally, thank you, goodbye, Ayatollah.
This is the exact same script. The exact same script. We can't have that.
Is anybody putting this together yet, how fake the whole thing is? Because I worked how long on this show? 3 years?
Yeah.
From going from not really paying attention to this stuff on purpose.
Paying attention to politics? Yeah, we could tell.
It only took me 3 years for it to dawn on me how it's pro wrestling and it's completely fake.
Well, it might be who you're hanging out with, maybe. Just, and again, I guess if it's all 100% fake, fuck are you doing with your life? Seriously, what's the gig here then? You're not affecting it then. Why? Obviously, you and Jimmy don't vote, right?
Why are other people not onto this yet?
Maybe because it's a paranoid fantasy that you have in a way that you and Jimmy excuse yourself from the part you play.
Why do people still think this is real? I don't get it.
So just to let you know, the Democrats are just as bought and paid for by AIPAC, Israel, and Mossad as anybody. And
who would by Democrats? Who the fuck are you talking about? I mean, more so than Trump in this situation?
They don't. So here's
then why didn't Biden do this? Why didn't Biden attack Iran? If we're 100% behind it, we had more of a margin than they did before.
Van Jones, he's supposed to be the
oh, it's Van Jones. That's what it is.
Crazy lefty.
He is? When the fuck did Van Jones become the crazy lefty? Holy shit. When I was at Politicon, the one time I did that weird, shitty gathering, back when we were big on the, politics as sports angle, Van Jones did a debate with Ann Coulter, and they were practically snogging before and after. It was always bullshit between those two, and the punditry class, he's never run for office. He's never held office anywhere.
He's on 100% on board. He's with every
100%. Okay, let's hear it. So obviously, 100% on board. I think you would go what further?
Neocon warmonger. Let's listen.
He's 100% neocon warmonger. Here you go.
Buying himself some time in some room. I was also in the Holy Land very recently. I think progressives underestimate how dangerous Iran is.
That progressives underestimate. So this is, again, you could get this from Sean Hannity. You can get this from Ted Cruz. Yeah. You can get this from the head of the CIA. But instead, we're getting it on CNN, and that's why he's allowed on CNN. That's why he has a contract with CNN.
What? Jimmy has only commentary? Yeah, it's secondary commentary, though. Hold on. How is Van Jones somehow like a voice of the fucking progressive movement or something? Or he ever was? Again, and it's hardly, I don't think any particular pundit is speaking entirely for the Democrats, but what the fuck?
Because he's willing to say things like this.
Yeah, well...
all right, what's he willing to say? He's saying progressives need to be more realistic about the threat of Iran. So far, that's what I've seen. Now, does that mean he's 100% for bombing the fucking place? I guess that's what you were going for, right? Whoops, hold on. I don't know this
to change his name to Man with a Van Jones. Yeah. He'll go anywhere for pay.
Yeah.
What? Man with a Van Jones? Oh, that's right. I forgot. What's his dipshit here writes jokes for Jimmy, so you can't have a sense of humor then.
Iran is not a normal country. Normal countries don't blind women because they showed some hair. They don't empower little gangs and proxies to surround a country and fire rockets and rape people. So Iran, the two things are clear.
Okay, apparently Kurt is very upset at Van Jones' voice of progressivism.
The what, they cannot have a bomb, and the why, because they say death to America, death to Israel, and death to all the Jews. One of those should offend you if you're progressives. At least one should offend you. And so the question, though, is the who and the how.
Okay, so he's saying they are a threat and they got a bomb. That's the part that Jimmy has a problem with. And I'm sure the who and the how would be like, obviously, we have to bomb them immediately.
Is Israel going to take out this nuclear capacity by dropping people there who blow it up? Or is America going to take it out by dropping a bomb that blows it up? But the what and the why are clear, and I think progressives should get on board with that. We cannot have a nuclear-armed Iran. I was in the region.
We can't have Saddam with weapons of mass destruction. We can't have that. This is the exact same script.
Oh, by the way, just in case anybody's confused, this is something you hear as a big refrain. We're just hearing the same script over and over again. This is just history repeating itself. It's the same thing we've heard overall, like every time this comes around since Vietnam or whatever. And this is Jimmy's way of excusing Donald Trump. That it's not up to Donald Trump. It's America that wants this. That you and I by voting for Harris last time, we wanted America to bomb Iran before July. This is an American thing. This has nothing to do with the fact that Jimmy and Kurt did everything they could to get Donald Trump elected last year, and they know the part they played in what's playing out this way. What they have to do is tell you how inevitable it was. This was gonna happen no matter what. And because Van Jones is yammering about the fact that they were gonna be a nuclear power that he agrees with, and therefore all Democrats, because I guess he's black. Is that where you're going, Jimmy? That Democrats by and large are black, and therefore any black guy that talks is now the voice of every Democrat because blackness, right? I mean, I don't know what the other tie is. Does anybody know what the fuck, like, the linkage would be? Like, yeah, it's horseshit. But Jimmy and Kurt want you to know that this would happen no matter who was in charge. Who in charge? And Hal's on Van Jones simp? No, not at all. That's what I'm saying. Like, he doesn't speak for me. Does he speak for you? Am I on the hook for what Van Jones fucking says? Are you nuts? How does that make sense? Why is the Democratic Party, because he said, okay, well, it's a real threat, and I don't know that he's gotten to the part. I'm only watching the clip that's here. Again, I did not pick this out. I didn't slice this off. Jimmy did, right? Jimmy's producer, whoever did this, they pulled this clip. Whatever context is in the clip, that's all I'm going on, and that's all he wants you to go on. So that's all we know. Yeah.
The exact same script. We can't have that.
Is anybody putting this together yet, how fake the whole thing is? Because I worked how long on this show? 3 years?
Yeah.
From going from not really paying attention to this stuff on purpose
to paying a lot of attention to it, but being just as fucking dumb.
It only took me 3 years for it to dawn on me how it's pro wrestling and is completely fake. Why are other people not onto this yet? Why do people still think this is real? I don't.
Okay, also, how do you draw that from this? Like, again, let's say you don't know who Van Jones is, and I met him someplace, and I don't care. And I certainly don't, I have no reason to think that he would speak for me any more than Scott Jennings would. Like, if I'm looking at this video and I don't know anybody who's involved, from what you've seen of what this guy said, he goes, yes, the people need to be aware that the threat is real. Now the question is, what do you do about that? What do you do about that threat, right? Do you attack the country? Does the other country attack the country? Do we help them? Do we not? Right? That's a conversation. That's the conversation you have to have. So what Kurt and Jimmy want you to think is, because somebody agrees on the what and the why, they're okay with whatever how fixes it. And I think the lesson of 2001 in response to 9/11, like 9/11 was a thing, but the how mattered a lot because Bush wanted to attack Iraq, and we're all going, what the fuck does Iraq have to do with this? Right?
Here's what Aaron Mate says. He says, Van Jones isn't a normal sellout.
Oh, is that in reference to the normal country part of it? Also, I mean, I think that qualifies as a wry statement, but I don't know that it's actually funny. Just kind of dumb. But of course, that's why, Kurt wishes he thought of it.
He's a very special sellout.
He's a very special sellout. So here's what the Democratic Foreign Relations Committee, the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, released this.
Okay, here it comes. They're like, let's do this. We're 100% behind the president, and we need to go in on this, right? That's what we were promised. Dems, title of this video, Dems are 100% behind Trump's war. All right, here we go. This is it. This is where the Democrats go, fuck yeah.
This is
America.
It says President Trump took action against Iran tonight in what appears to be a limited, contained strike. We are still waiting to understand the extent to which that action has deterred Iran's nuclear threat. The United States must not rush into war with Iran.
I don't know. That sounds like 60% at best right now.
Unfortunately, President Trump has not continued the bipartisan tradition of regularly briefing Congress on major national security events that impact Americans around the world. American service members with 40,000 U.S. troops in the Middle East. We have 40,000 soldiers surrounding Iran.
No, they're not surrounding Iran. What is there, one every 175 feet along all the borders?
And their families are...
Some of them are, the ones surrounding Iran don't even realize they're doing it. They're facing the wrong way. Someone should tell them.
Undoubtedly assume more risk with today's developments. President Trump must now de-escalate tensions with Iran and immediately brief Congress. That's Ranking Member Jean Shaheen. And guess what? This is what I love what Aaron...
You love what Aaron Mate said about this thing? So basically this show is you just farming Aaron Mate's tweets for what to talk about?
Tay says, Democrats say to Trump, the next time you commit aggression on Israel's behalf, please let us know in advance so we can cheer it with more enthusiasm.
Yeah, no shit.
That's what...
How is that? How is that the draw from that? Also, how is the ranking member, again, the one without power necessarily, on the committee, on the Foreign Relations Committee, indicative of everybody else in their sort of language about this? How does it sound like they're like, how I was promised Dems are 100% behind Trump's war?
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Of course. I wanted to pretend to be I was supposed to have a chance to pretend to be against it this time. We're all actors. You're not being generous with the line.
Oh, right. So just real clear. Just being real clear, if you were against the Iraq war, like I was, like other people, if you marched and you're a Democrat or whatever, you were just pretending. You were bullshitting. You were a liar. This was just cosplay on your part too. If you marched against the Iraq war, then automatically, I guess it's your turn to be for this.
It's just amazing how it's exactly the same script.
It's not exactly the same script. I mean, we literally, like, it happened too fast. They skipped the fucking script this time. They didn't ask. There was no build-up. There was not a time. They didn't. The whole point of that statement was they didn't go to Congress. At least, like, say what you will about Bush and them, they lied their asses off, but at least they went through the process. They at least had, like, a cosplay of following the Constitution. Trump just did this and fucked off. The fuck?
And what do they get in trouble for, these people, whenever they try to improv? Just like real TV.
Yeah.
I worked in TV 20 years.
Yeah.
They don't like when you improv.
I don't know. Everywhere I've worked, they love when I improv. Oh, right, because I'm funny and you suck. That's right.
I want you to follow the script that's in the prompter, and when you deviate, they get real nervous.
Yep.
That's because what they wrote is funny, and they worked hard on it, and you suck, Kurt.
Yeah.
So it's the exact same script, just like January 6th was the exact same script they used against Bolsonaro and.
I'm sorry. Did Bolsonaro tell his people to attack the fucking Capitol?
Brazil. This is the.
So, hold on. Like, wait a second. There's already been this ridiculous overlap that this is the same as Iraq, and we're going through this again, and we've heard this, and it's really just a way for people to excuse Trump and excuse themselves for voting for Trump and saying, well, it's the same every time. Never mind, both of these fuckers were both Republicans, and my conscience is clear in this particular instance. But sorry, you're about to excuse the Jan 6ers because they had a script run against them because you like Bolsonaro?
Exact same script as Dick Cheney and George Bush used in Iraq. This is the exact same script. Exact.
No, it's not exact. At least we got like a fake thing of yellow cake and somebody shaking it. It took weeks.
George H.W. Bush's funeral, who was there? Bill Clinton, to pay his respects. We thought they were enemies when I was young.
Yeah.
But it turns out, according to W, George H.W. was a mentor to Bill Clinton. That's how he spoke on the day of H.W.'s funeral.
Yep.
Oh, that maybe, okay, so maybe he was jealous because H.W. Bush went in and then didn't go back into Iraq, and neither did Clinton, but his son, W, actually did and stayed in there the whole time. Maybe he was more of a mentor to Clinton than he was to George W. Bush. Maybe that was the thing. Maybe George W. Bush should have listened to his fucking dad, and we would have been in there for 21 days instead of 21 years. The fuck?
I remember how that was when it was H.W. and Clinton. I would have never thought back then they're good friends. But then again, I didn't know Hulk Hogan and his rivals, Andre the Giant, were friends the whole time.
Right. So Kamala Harris and Trump were just pretending last time. And all these women who've come out against Trump and his connection to Epstein and stuff, it's really just a story that's built up by the Illuminati. And neither of these assholes bear responsibility for making it a fucking coin toss. Right? Zionists. U.S. and Israel politicians have given billions of people millions of reasons to call the U.S. the great Satan. Peace on earth, goodwill to all. I don't think you're living up to your name. Peace on earth. You sound like you're typing things that are contrary to your stated goal. There you go. Anyways, point I'm trying to make is, yeah, Hulk and Andre, I know. That's because that's when his maybe that's why they don't want you to improvise, Kurt, on shows, is because your references are so shitty and outdated and narrow and hyper specific that nobody knows what the fuck you're getting on about. So, anyways, that's the that would be I was about to say like the left wing version of this circumstance, but to be quite frank, that neither of these assholes. I mean, Jimmy's a Marxist millionaire. And Kurt's just fucking weird. Like I at this point, he's like a narco capitalist. That's where he is. He's one of these like, I don't know if you boiled down whatever he thought. It's like everything's a giant conspiracy, including income tax. That would be the thing. That seems to be all I can gather from it. Point being is that's the breadth of that conversation. So that's your horseshoe theory slice for the evening. Now that said, if I may. Vance apparently gave Trump advice on handling the Iran threat while he was in Los Angeles. And I'm sure he said something, nice about immigrants, like some I assume are good people.
At the beginning of the administration, the idea was worse first, right? Targeting the worst of the worst criminals.
Sure.
You guys are still doing that, but we're also starting to see Home Depots getting hit, car washes, agriculture workers.
Yeah, but you don't understand. Like, people who wash cars and work at Home Depots and try to, get pickup jobs and stuff, they are the worst of the worst.
Is the net widening?
Yes, we're focusing on the most
that was a weird fucking edit.
Violent criminals. We're focusing on people who came here illegally over the Biden administration. But put simply, if you came into the country illegally, if you're not a legal resident of the United States of America, you ought to go back home and come through proper channels.
So basically.
Right. So this idea that they're going to, there are 11,000 murderers or whatever roaming around or whatever, I'm sure they're out there. We'll find them eventually. But meantime, we're going to scoop up a bunch of fucking farm workers and kids with cancer and boot them the fuck out. Right? Because we can't find them. Because that number doesn't exist. Because it was always a lie.
Basically, it's what Tom Homan has said repeatedly. If you're in the U.S. illegally, you're on the table.
If you're in the U.S. illegally, you are at risk of deportation.
What's your metric?
And by the way, the slice up edit in this is very odd. At least they make a big deal of it. They're not doing a reverse cut, so they're hiding the fact that they're editing his answers down to some sort of like palatable Whitman sampler of bigotry.
For determining how long the military is going to be here in Los Angeles. Things are calm right now. Are you going to keep them here for a while in case there's more activity? When do you pull them out?
Well, I think what the president says, you got to do this case by case, right? See how this goes, see where we are in a few days, ensure that you don't have the increase in rioting activity.
We didn't have increase in rioting activity until these motherfuckers showed up.
Pull out the troops when we feel confident that level of instability is not going to return. But of course, when that happens and when the president makes that decision, of course, it's easy to put people back in if you feel like that rioting starts to ramp up again.
There have been
right, yes, because Taco.
All sorts of articles and media reporting about this supposed rift in MAGA world,
sure,
and amongst Republicans about what to do with Iran. How do you see things right now?
And by the way, he was on which way in what would be the fake part of this whole thing that Kurt on Jimmy's show was talking about? Like half these assholes are pretending to be against the Iran strike in MAGA, and then the ones that are pretending to be for it, and it's really just about money or whatever. So he's on the fake half that was against it.
Look, what the president said is so perfect about this. I think he gets to define America first because he's the person who ran, who was elected, and who actually leads this movement. And for all of the
yeah. So again, you guys, maggots, you need to shut up and suck it. That's it. There is no make America great again is whatever the fuck he wants it to mean. It doesn't actually mean that he wants to make America great again. It's whatever story he wants to tell you. And you know what part you play in it? You know what share of this is your responsibility? Fucking zero. You march. That's what you do, maggots.
Line chatter. What I see, and I've seen it very privately, of course, and I've seen it very publicly, the president is very focused on a core American national interest. And that national interest is the state of Iran should not have a nuclear weapon.
So how long?
That's a core national interest for us? I mean, is it a core national interest with North Korea? Because they've actually threatened us too, I guess, right? Are they next?
How long do you give diplomacy a chance to work before it's time to drop a bunker buster?
Look, the president has to answer that.
Too late.
Question, right? And
this is 2 days ago.
I think that what he said is he's going to pursue diplomacy until he thinks that there isn't an opportunity. And once
that meant Saturday night,
he decides that diplomacy has completely run its course, that we're not going to get anything out of additional talks, then I think the president is going to do what he needs to do to end Iranian enrichment and end that Iranian nuclear program. Again, the president will make that final decision. I do think that we're running out of time, but as the president said yesterday, he wants to give it a little bit more time.
That was a lie, by the way. That's this is, I think, from Saturday that when this was occurring. So either he didn't know this was going to happen that night, which is probably more the reality because he was against it. They probably kept him in the dark until he was summoned to the White House for the Situation Room to actually see it happen. So they acted like it was a regular meeting. He was not in on the conversation. He was excluded as soon as he turned out to be against it in any way.
To see what diplomacy can accomplish.
Obviously, a lot of people in President Trump's ear giving him advice.
Sure.
Whether it's the military.
Yeah. Cow jumping.
His cabinet, you yourself. What advice are you giving him?
The advice that I'm giving him is, sir, trust your instincts. He's got the best instincts of any president I've ever seen, of any political leader that I've ever seen.
He's the only one you've ever seen. Like up close. Like your view of it is the only, Biden's were way better. We didn't get into the situation. And Obama actually had us a deal before Trump wrecked it.
I think that he knows when diplomacy has run its course, and he'll know when ultimately he has to employ the American military to make sure that Iran...
Sorry, how ceasefire what? Yeah, I know. We covered that at the top. Trump announced it.
Doesn't have a nuclear program.
You said you think...
The question is it real? That was, by the way, in case you're wondering, this is the congratulations to everyone. It's been fully agreed on by there will be a ceasefire. I call bullshit. But
running out of time. The president says he wants to take about 2 weeks to think about it. Is that within your range?
Well, I think as the president said, he's not going to tell anybody exactly when or what he's going to do. He's going to continue working this process. He's going to let the diplomatic process unfold. And in the meantime...
Yes, it unfolded about 12 hours.
Time, of course, the president of the United...
Trump said there's a ceasefire between Iran and Israel on Truth Social, which I got to say sounds like bullshit.
States can do whatever he needs to do whenever.
Like there's no way. It's just silly.
He needs to do it to keep the American people safe.
So that was his little statement. And let's see. I'm going to jump in here. I'll see if there's been an update in this regard. Let's see. There's a couple of things. 1 second. Let's see. Yep, not seeing it there right now. Hold on 1 second. And I imagine the Times will probably have it, or Axios probably will jump on it. Trump announces Iran-Israel ceasefire. That's exactly what we saw. So I'm showing you the exact same thing that they're showing you. Trump wrote on Truth Social that the ceasefire begins at 12 a.m. Eastern time. Until then, Israel and Iran will complete their final military missions that are in progress. That's the thing I read it before. Congratulations to everyone. There will be a complete and total ceasefire. Trump said the war had gone on for years and destroyed the entire Middle East, but it didn't and never, could have, but it didn't and it never will. On the assumption that everything works as it should, which it will, I would like to congratulate both countries, Israel and Iran, on having the stamina, courage, and intelligence to end what should be called the 12-day war. Yeah. This is just this announcement. I don't know that we're hearing this from anybody but him, which is a bit fucking weird. Like, because we would want, the presumption would be, I think, that we would hear it from both of these countries. Yes? Yeah. Trump announces tentative Israel ceasefire. That's Bloomberg's writing on it. Which is President Trump announced that Israel and Iran had agreed to tentative ceasefire in the conflict. Trump made the surprise announcements on the Truth Social on the assumption that there's no immediate comment from Iran or Israel on Trump's post. Vance said the president had been working the phones constantly Monday with the goal of getting an agreement. Details of the timing of each side would stop fighting weren't immediately clear from his post. As Trump made the announcement, Iranian media reported powerful explosions in Tehran and several other cities. Meanwhile, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said Tehran is not seeking to escalate tensions, but is prepared to respond to any further U.S. aggression. So basically, maybe Trump's just saying we're not going to do anymore until we do. His announcement came just hours after Iran fired those missiles, but they said oil plunged on relief that Tehran's measured response offered a prospect of easing tensions. Trump posted, "Congratulations, world, it's time for peace." Hello, world, it's a song that you're singing. Vance said they can't have this. Iran's existing stock of highly enriched uranium was buried by the attack. If Iran is desperate to build a nuclear weapon in the future, then they're going to have to deal with a very, very powerful American military. Iran's move on Monday appeared to be largely symbolic retaliation. Plenty of warning was given. Qatar shut its airspace, and the U.S. issued warnings to citizens. And then this is the number of people in the bases around there. Bahrain, which hosts a U.S. naval base in the United Arab Emirates, also closed their airspace late Monday. I got to say, until Iran and Israel announced this, hold on. Iran responds. Is this it? U.S. attacks nuclear sites in Iran, widening. Okay, no. Bomber struck Iran's 3. Okay, Is there an update in this? Trump launched those strikes. Nope. Okay, that's just their older one. Sorry. Nope. So until they actually say something, I call bullshit. Just saying. I can't think of a reason to trust Trump on this particular instance. Also, especially considering this, Vance hints that uranium was moved after Trump tipped off Tehran. Maybe that's why they want to make a deal, because he already did. Maybe we already had a deal and it was all bullshit. Like, hey, I'll pretend to do something, you guys pretend to do something, we'll both look like tough guys, and Russia won't get mad at either one of us. Vance raised major questions about the success of the U.S. strike on Iran's nuclear facilities after suggesting Tehran's near bomb-grade uranium was moved before the attacks. Israeli sources were quoted as saying that Iran moved as much as 880 pounds of uranium enriched to 60% purity from a secure nuclear storage facility in the ancient city of Isfahan. Iran had made no secret that they have protected this material. And while Trump's press secretary said a high degree of confidence that they took out Iran's uranium stockpile, Vance seems to suggest the opposite. We're going to work in the coming weeks to ensure that we do something with that fuel, and that's one of the things that we're going to have conversations with the Iranians about, he said this week. Which again, I got to call bullshit on that being a thing. Now, next up, especially because, well, here, I'll show you. This would be dim pool. U.S. failed to destroy Iran's uranium. Russia warns Iran will get nukes, World War III.
They don't know the fate of Iran's uranium stockpile. Both Vice President...
They don't know the uranium stockpile? Where is the uranium? We must know.
J.D. Vance and Rafael Grossi, the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, acknowledged questions about the whereabouts of Iran's stockpile of near bomb-grade nuclear material. We have this story from the Telegraph.
Telegraph's been around for a while. That sounds like legacy media.
Fears over Iran's missing 400 kilograms of uranium. Now, many people are pointing out, hey, wait a minute. We got a picture of all these trucks, right?
We do? You mean the AP and Reuters and in this particular Yahoo News and the Telegraph? All these organizations you shit on all the time. But let's just assume this is an AI. Because otherwise it would be fake news.
Carried the uranium. Was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Was it all of them? Some have stated, well, can't we track where these trucks go? Indeed. It's a good assessment. The issue is
the assessment would be we can, and this is how. Asking a question is not a. Never mind.
There's multiple trucks.
That is true. I mean, they could be little choo-choo train cars.
Don't know what they're being loaded with.
I'm going to go with snacks and personnel and dirt and also maybe some uranium.
They could be decoys.
Uranium.
They're not there on the ground. Just because a truck is there does not mean that truck is carrying the uranium.
Yeah, but I'm just going to assume it is. I mean, I think you would too, wouldn't you? I'm just going to assume it's full of uranium, especially if this is a nighttime shot and it's almost completely lit up because these trucks glow in the dark, I guess.
So there could potentially be, let's just do some quick math here. How many trucks we got? We got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 trucks. Maybe. It's kind of hard, a little grainy, but it looks like about 16. You don't.
Yeah, none of the grain is making it difficult to separate the vehicles from each other, but continue.
Know which ones have trucks. These trucks could go to facilities, and 16 more trucks could come out of each of those facilities, and those trucks get spread around.
Oh my God. It's like a shampoo commercial, but with uranium.
What happens? Sure. The U.S. can say, we've tracked all the trucks, but now we're dealing with 16 by 16, and then.
Yes, Wes. Wes pointed out that the Trump attack was called Midnight Hammer, which is stupid. But also, I think they were like running out of letters. Like, we can't call it, we can't go like, Midnight Giga Chad. It's got to be MH this time around instead of M, so, and we already used G, so maybe if you want to do a small thing, we could call it MI or something, and you could go, Mission Improbable, something like that.
How many more? How many more locations are they not going to be able
3,
to track?
7, 15, 1. Fuck.
Therein lies the big challenge.
It is. Therein lies the challenge.
They say Iran claims to have smuggled almost all of the country's highly enriched uranium to a secret location before the U.S. launched strikes on its nuclear bases.
Yeah, but I mean, this is Yahoo News, so obviously bullshit.
3 of Tehran's most critical enrichment facilities, including its underground facility at Fordo, were pummeled by B-2 stealth bombers and a barrage of submarine-launched missiles early on Sunday. Submarine-launched missiles. That's crazy.
Why?
That's crazy.
No, it's not actually. It's pretty common.
Those are long-range missiles. Very, very.
Yeah, they're not parked off the coast of Florida, dumb fuck.
Very nuts. Now, the one thing I do want to say, I am not for this. I know it's a rock and a hard place, and it's easy to sit in my air-conditioned building in the middle of West Virginia with no stake in the game. Well, minimal.
Well, yeah, obviously you get paid by tenant media occasionally still, right?
To be honest. It's easy to just be like, why are we doing this? Without really knowing.
And I didn't even know they were in fucking West Virginia. That's where this show is done? Explains so much.
But my point is, I do not feel that the U.S. has justified these strikes to the American people. The threat, the risk, etc. I don't think they do.
The U.S.? Oh, you mean the Trump administration, the guy you back unequivocally. So all of a sudden, that's one of my favorite parts about this, is that if you're for it, it's Trump is doing, Trump is trumping, and Trump is going to trump it like you've never seen things Trump before in the history of Trumpiness. And if it was something you didn't like in the last administration, Biden did this, Biden did this. Now Trump is in charge, and if it's something you don't like, suddenly America is doing this. It's America did this. The Americans, America is America. Even though you live here and you're not for it, so I guess -1.
Good job. That being said, to those pilots and the crew on this mission, it's amazing. 37-hour round-trip flight in these bombers.
Yeah, how did they hold it?
With nothing but a small chemical toilet. Probably eating some MR.
I was joking, and he literally went there.
Very impressive.
Probably some MREs. Yeah, they eat a meal. I mean, it's a long process. Yeah.
Strike.
You'll be surprised to know that they don't stay awake for 36 hours straight. It'd be a little difficult to see your target without your vision getting a little blurry.
Much as I don't like the U.S. involvement, the U.S. military...
It was cool.
Is...
Bro, like, I hate this. But it was so fucking awesome, bro.
Air Force, and all those involved. Terrifyingly effective and impressive. They're going to say officials believe that most of the material at Fordo and Iran's other facilities had been...
They bombed the place from, like, practically near Earth orbit, like, like in the upper atmosphere. They didn't fucking drone strike through a fucking window. They didn't parachute into the place and throw depth charges in. I mean, it's impressive, but calm the fuck down.
Moved elsewhere. Iran has vowed to continue enriching uranium in defiance of Trump raising further concerns over its nuclear program.
Ooh, concerns. And who hasn't bombed an entire country out of nowhere based on concerns?
We have this breaking news. Qatar has shut down its airspace temporarily to ensure the safety of visitors and residents, the Qatari foreign minister says.
And people flying, I would assume.
And we have, I'm sorry, this is not the one I was looking for. Here.
No, yeah, terrible.
Go. We have this from Fox News. Americans in Qatar told to shelter in place as
Again, draw a fucking conclusion.
Iranian military threatens action against U.S. interests.
And I'm against this, but that's awesome.
It's the escalation that we are deeply concerned about. Now, the U.S. engaged in these strikes, and they may have shut down Iran's ability to enrich the uranium. But if they already have 400 kilograms, then nothing's been averted.
Well, I mean, obviously, they have to put them in something, and imagine there'd be a triggering mechanism, and they have to be able to attach it to, it's not like they just put it in there and wherever it hits, it just kind of blows up on its own. It's kind of a complicated process. Oppenheimer didn't call him Oopsenheimer like he accidentally created the nuclear bomb. It kind of takes some, it's not just enough. You can't just walk around with a fucking glowing rock and going, just chuck it at your enemy. It kind of requires, Jesus. How are you taking questions later? I might. Maybe.
Considering the other report, Russia is claiming, a former Russian president, I believe it is,
Medvedev,
said that production of nuclear weapons in Iran will continue, and other countries, multiple nations, are stepping in to provide Iran with nukes. I don't believe this has actually solved any of the problem.
Well, I guess you gotta, this would be a great opportunity to go, you were a fucking moron for thinking that Trump was the solution to this problem. Right? There was a coin toss between him and Harris, and that Harris would have done this, and you must feel like a right asshole right now. No, you're gonna yammer like this for like 2 days and then go back to sucking him off. Shocking. All of us are completely flabbergasted. I clutch the pearls. I can't believe it.
Now, again, for those that watch the morning segment, there's a chain of events people are fearing right now. Iran is threatening to shutter the Strait of Hormuz. 1/5 of oil trade moves through this strait into the Persian Gulf.
Yeah, like it used to be half.
They may place mines, sea mines.
Oh my God, as opposed to land mines? It's a little hard to place those in the ocean, I guess. Good point. Thanks for bringing up that they're sea mines.
That ships will...
Are they straight mines? I mean, it is a strait after all. They're probably not, right? They're probably not straight mines. Wouldn't it be ironic? It'd be so ironic if Iran, of all people, placed gay mines in the Strait of Hormuz in Pride Month? During Pride Month? Sorry, go back to saying how you think this was a mistake, but America's doing it, not Trump. He made all the right moves. It's America that fucked this up.
Tankers are...
They're trans mines. They can do both, right? They can be on land or sea. They're amphibiously gay mines.
Already turning around, refusing to enter. They don't want to get trapped in the Persian Gulf if Iran does make this move. That's a...
Well, yeah, because there's nothing to do and,
massive asset to lose access to. The U.S. is reportedly keeping an eye on this with Donald Trump saying, do not retaliate. Now, the fear, of course...
By the way, they retaliated, just saying.
...that the U.S. will move in and engage the Strait of Hormuz to try and keep it open, resulting in Iran striking U.S. assets and personnel, and then the U.S. seeking to secure the ground operations in Iran with boots on the ground. Now, maybe they don't go that far.
Yeah, probably not.
Maybe unable to make such a move. That's a massive play.
It's huge. But I'm against it, but it'd be so cool.
Not sure the U.S. has the capability of handling right now, especially with the war in Ukraine. Iran may be
What? What the fuck? Trump is presenting $1 trillion military budget. We've given Ukraine something in the order of like $160 billion, mostly money that was spent here in the United States building newer shit so we can give them the old shit. What the fuck are you talking about? Of course Trump thinks we can do this easily, you nutcase.
On that, so this may just be a game of chicken. And let me just say to all of you, you will not win a game of chicken with Donald Trump.
Everyone wins a game of chicken with Donald Trump. Taco, motherfucker. Like, that's why it became a thing.
Raise your taco, take a bite. Trump always chickens out, so it's gonna be alright. Raise your taco, take a bite.
Of course you can
Trump
win a
always
fight.
chickens out, so
Of course you'll win a game of chicken with Trump. Are you shitting me? It's ridiculous.
Iran may be thinking Trump wouldn't be so bold as to send U.S. personnel into the country.
Maybe he's just like my mother, you know. Alone in a world so cold. World is so cold. Maybe, my father, you know it's too bold. All right, yeah.
That gives them the opportunity to strike at the Strait of Hormuz.
I'm sure they're just quaking about this, I'm sure.
And actually disrupt global trade. They can certainly launch missiles and rockets at U.S. targets in the Middle East. But the Strait of Hormuz is their strongest play right now, as it puts pressure on several other nations. Now.
No, just China. Honestly, like it raises the theory would be it raises the price of oil, and that helps Russia. So they're kind of torn about it. Jesus Christ. So lazy.
If it were anyone other than Donald Trump, if it was Joe Biden, Iran, I think, might do it. But I think Iran may be aware that you cannot win a game of chicken with Donald Trump. It's just not going to happen. Trump
Based on
is not
what?
going to let them shutter the Strait of Hormuz. But if Iran is so bold, I think we could actually see boots on the ground. Maybe not immediately. This is not.
Yeah. Maybe in a couple of years. You know, maybe when a Democrat's in office and it'll suddenly be their fault.
The same thing as Iraq and Afghanistan. The issue with Iraq and Afghanistan was that with Afghanistan, we were trying to set up.
Oh, we had a Republican president then, too, who was lying about intel and all that kind of stuff. Sure. Yeah, so very similar.
Military bases, regime change, and nation building, because the Taliban was a wild group of people.
It was wild. I got to tell you, it's wild.
Iraq, they wanted to get rid of Saddam Hussein personally, which meant you needed people to do it. With Iran, Trump has now floated regime change, but not from U.S. forces. He's
What? So, hold on. First of all, why would you even need to do that? Aren't we accused of using the CIA for regime change in the entire world anyways? Here's the thing. If there was regime change in Iran and we had nothing to do with it, first of all, everybody would think we did it. And secondly, Trump would probably take credit for it. That's half the reason why we fucking went into this is because Israel was going to kick Iran's ass without our help. And we're like, no, we want to roll in and take credit.
Basically saying the people of Iran should do it.
Trump.
We shouldn't be involved. Fox News reports the U.S. Embassy in Qatar told Americans to shelter in place until further notice Monday morning. The embassy said it made the recommendation out of abundance of caution, but provided no other details. Qatar is home to the Al Udeid, probably pronouncing it wrong, air base, where approximately 10,000 U.S. soldiers are deployed. The advisory came after the State Department issued a warning to American citizens on Sunday. Quote,
yeah, we know. He's never going to come to a conclusion about this. I don't even know why we bother even looking at this dickhead. But this is a common refrain we're seeing from everywhere. I want to show you also, let's look behind the scenes, shall we? Because I think that's what people are wondering. Say what? Thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you guys so much. I have a super chat goal happening right now for an AMA at the end of the show, even though I do have to drive to Los Angeles after the show tonight. So wish me luck. But it would be a half-hour AMA at the end of the show if we can do that. So thank you guys so much. Here we go. Now, this is the Department of Defense releases a video of the B-2 bombers used to strike Iran. Now, I would argue that this is just stock footage of them taking off at night. I mean, it's great footage that, you know, if you at some point in the near future need to make your, dystopian, post-apocalyptic, found footage horror film, this will be great stuff. Just remove the Forbes thing that they slapped on it. Hey, wee! I don't know why that looks a lot less frightening at this like regional airport in Toledo, Ohio. Flight number B2 now arriving at gate 6. Everybody else can, if you want to be dropped off in the middle of fucking Iran, you're gonna want to no carry-ons. We make sure they fit in the overhead compartment. All right, this is that footage, but I want to show you guys something. Is it this? Oh yeah, this is Candace Owens, who I think there is a tendency by folks on our side, in the same way that with like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, or strange bedfellows, where they come to this conclusion that, well, she all of a sudden is against war in Iran, I'm against war in Iran, we must be on the same side. Instead of, you and I are against war in Iran because we don't want an escalation of war in general, and we think there was a way to slow down their nuclear program with a deal before, and we think there could be again, as long as we can, kind of maintain the status quo until such time as a Democrat gets in, because there's no way they're going to trust us with another Republican deal. There's no way you would trust a deal from Trump in the first place, right? So I think there are other ways to solve the nuclear proliferation issue without killing a bunch of people or blowing a bunch of shit up. That's where I come from. She just doesn't want to do it because she thinks it's helping Jews. She's like, Israel wants this, therefore Jews want it, therefore. So Candace apparently says this. We'll see what she says. Is this playing at all? She's frozen. Hold on, I'll reopen this. I think you have to watch.
Imagine having the benefits of a keto
I'm not going to. I'm not going to do it. I will not imagine it. I'm going to keep it out of my head. Nope, I'm not going to put baking soda in. Nope, not in those places. That's gross. I'm not pouring in there. Nope, no matter what the ad says. Okay,
to 2 weeks to decide whether or not America was going to get involved in this war, President Bibi Netanyahu said, you know what, actually, we don't want to wait. And then so Trump took 7 stealth bombers over to Iran, and he did this so that we could have peace, allegedly. We're going to talk about that.
Okay, for the record, she is one of these people who is tacitly trying to forgive or protect Trump or defend herself against Trump's followers by saying he didn't want to do this. Netanyahu made him do it, because apparently Netanyahu has a copy of the Epstein files.
Also, Rabbi Dave Portnoy, the founder of Barstool Sports, who recently screamed at his employee because apparently jokes can cause the next Holocaust. Yeah, well, he is now claiming that I'm the lunatic because I don't think that American troops should go die for Israel. And so I want to make sure that I don't mince words here.
Nobody's worried that you're going to mince words. I do think it's, you do realize this could just be dumb on our own side. Like, this could just be Trump being full of shit.
In terms of what I actually think about our involvement with Israel. So welcome back to Candace.
Good old Candace. This is all about I would say that the weird part about this is that if they were ratcheting this up, if we were ratcheting up war or did something like this in another country, she would not have a problem with it. She wouldn't. It's the fact that she views it as we're on the side of Israel that she cares. It's the weirdest part of this whole thing.
That's because, of course,
with her.
First, they always accuse you of what they're doing. They released this report, and Iran has tons of bots on the internet. Yet all the bots are supporting Israel and telling us that we have to go to war. And this weekend was just insane. Honestly, I feel like we're watching a show. I really do believe that we're watching a show. I think.
Well, if you're watching shitter, you are. You're watching a manufactured, cultivated mindset scooped into your fucking brain pan on purpose. That's what an algorithm is. A reality show, it isn't. That's good. Yeah.
CIA thinks we're so stupid. Like I said before, 9/11, Generation 9/11, we've grown up and we know this script. We've seen this show and we know how it's going to end.
No, you haven't. No, you don't. You can assume it. Believe me, you can draw a lot of conclusions from stuff, but you can also be suckered into following along with stuff or going against your own best interest because somebody has told you, like, this is exactly like your last boyfriend who treated you like shit. Like, but he seems nice. Yeah, but they're always nice in the beginning, right? You can be as easily led by your paranoia as you can be led by your alleged newfound awareness.
And they just spent so much time gaslighting us. Like, the moment...
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Miss Generation 9/11. First of all, a bunch of us were like, fuck you, this is nonsense. The yellow cake stuff, the weapons of mass destruction. I don't know anybody personally. I take that back. I probably do. But I've never had a conversation with them about it where they actually bought the Rumsfeld Colin Powell bullshit about Iraq. I didn't. I don't think many people I'm sure there's some chat room. Let me know if there's some maggots in here who bought that hook, line, and sinker. But at the time, I and everybody around me were like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is obviously nonsense. This is obviously bullshit. So the idea that somehow, not only that lie was just like, it just managed to like drill its way into your fucking brain pan and no one could escape it like it was a goddamn tractor beam, but that after everybody was like, wait a second, this is all bullshit, that the rest of the media still, what do you think, the fucking news, the mainstream media and the legacy media still says that Saddam had weapons of mass destruction? Where the fuck did that come from? It's nonsense. Nobody does. Well, I won't say nobody because there's always somebody, and there's 8 billion people on the planet. There's somebody who will say shit about anything. But on Rumble, there are definitely a couple people, and on BitChute, which is the sort of like skeevy Craigslist version of Rumble, there are definitely people who are like, actually, he did have weapons of mass destruction, and thank God we went in, right? There's like 9 of those fuckers. But everybody else, including myself and everybody else who marched against the Iraq war at the beginning, not midway through. We didn't come to our fucking senses 6 years in. When it started, we're like, what the fuck did Iraq have to do with 9/11? What is this? BitChute, as in like shoots and ladders. So the idea that like this is this lie has been carried on forever and ever. No, it hasn't. And if you did believe it back then, we're not on the hook for it, dumbass. I'm not on the hook for how gullible and fucking stupid you were. Neither is my audience or any of the Democratic voters I talk to on any regular basis. Seriously. We're not gullible because you're full of shit. And just because you bought Donald Trump's horse shit, you don't get to go, well, every politician does this. This is AIPAC. This is Israel. We're wholly owned by Israel. Nobody has a choice in this. Why? Because Trump made the choice, and now you have, instead of defending it or supporting it or God forbid, criticizing the motherfucker, you have to lay it on, well, everybody does this. No, they fucking don't. You lazy piece of shit. I didn't. My viewers didn't. We knew it was bullshit. And just because you just woke up doesn't mean we all overslept. Fuck me. So lame.
That Matthew Crooks, the scrawny-looking white boy from Pennsylvania, got on that roof and attempted to murder Donald Trump, attempted to assassinate Donald Trump, okay? And the deep state came out with a narrative that, he was somehow linked with Iran?
They did? And first of all, the deep state, who the fuck are you talking about? If anybody defends that he was a lone wolf in this situation and there's nothing to see here, it was Donald fucking Trump. Who the fuck said? I happen to be the deep state, and I said no such thing, you dizzy fuck.
That kid, Matthew Crooks, linked with Iran. I said, okay, we're going to war with Iran. That's it. You got to have the false flag, and they let you know that is the new enemy.
Well, then maybe you should have voted for fucking Harris to guarantee, you weirdo. What the shit?
And we said, no, calm down. They said, calm down, you conspiracy theorist. That's not true. War with Iran? And then when Bibi Netanyahu decided to strike Iran, yeah, that was it. It was over. Our troops are going to be involved immediately, we said.
Nope. No, first of all, it wasn't just an immediate fait accompli. It's the fact that you supported Donald Trump and you will never go against him directly and because of the blowback from the maggots. I think the most irritating part of all of this is how they try to make it this ubiquitous America does such and such, and yet every fucking time it's Nixon. Every fucking time it's Reagan. It's fucking Bush. It's Bush 1 and Bush 2. It's fucking Trump. And everybody else they're all the same. Anything the American president does is equal. There's no moral difference in invading Iraq and doing a limited incursion to rescue some fucking students in Guatemala or some shit like that. It's all the same. We send UN peacekeepers in to keep people from being slaughtered in Rwanda. It's the same as invading Iraq and Afghanistan. So there's no difference between the parties. That's how they have to equalize it. Biden didn't fucking bomb Iran, dummy. He didn't. So why, if they control everything, then why didn't he do it? Right? Why? And the idea that Harris would have, that's a great story to tell yourself if you want to cover your own ass.
And they said that is absolutely not false. We're not getting involved in that conflict. The favorite thing that they always say is Israel.
Who the fuck is they?
Israel can defend itself. Israel can defend itself. It just never does. That's the only thing. It never does because it actually can't, which begs the question that if you're a nation and you can't defend yourself, are you even a nation? If you have to rely on the might of another nation, on the tax.
I see. So that's your case, dissolve NATO?
Dollars of another nation. Why do you even qualify as being a nation? If might makes right. That's a question that we can ask another day. And
sorry, when does might make right? Oh, right, because you're a fucking Russian sock puppet, of course.
Anyways, the point is that on Friday, we were told definitively by Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt that Trump was going to take this 2-week pause. Everybody calm down. Don't be crazy. We're going to be rational about this. Take a listen.
I have a message directly from the president, and I quote,
Gee, does it ever occur to you that she might be specifically full of shit on behalf of another person who's specifically full of shit?
Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future.
That's that whole may or may not thing, I think, that's probably going to throw a monkey wrench into this next segment, I guess.
I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks.
I see. So not at the end of 2 weeks, like asshole just said, but within the next 2 weeks, which it turns out to be 24 hours or less than 24 hours later, because she's full of shit, Trump's full of shit, and Candace is full of shit.
That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today.
All right, now let's see Candace regurgitate what we all just heard, which was typical Trump punting, waffling, weak-kneed bullshit language into, he said 2 weeks.
So that's what we were told. And by the way, just for those of you that are in the chat.
Yes, that he would do it within 2 weeks. And technically, he could have done it the very next second because it would have been within 2 weeks. Dipshit. Yes, she's full of shit. You're full of shit. Trump's full of shit.
Saying that you can't hear, just hit refresh button on the YouTube and the audio should come in clearly for you. Anyways.
See, I'm not the only one who has those problems.
That's what we were told on Friday. And then literally 1 day later, we bombed Iran. I'm not kidding. It was 1 day later. Oh, everybody settled down. We're going to think. And this is directly from the president. And then we got this directly from the president on Truth Social.
Right, which was within the 2 week period. It was just closer to the front of the 2 week period than the end of the 2 week period. And instead of going, holy shit, I'm a gullible asshole. I bought this hook, line, and sinker. I thought when she said within 2 weeks, it meant at the end of 2 weeks. And I must have a problem fucking reading, or I might have shit in my ears. Instead of actually coming to that conclusion, you're like, I feel betrayed.
He wrote, we have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordo, Natanz, and Esh are safely on their way home. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now is the time for peace. That's what I mean. Obviously, that is usually, if I'm trying to achieve peace, dropping bombs on people is usually the way to go. It's like, beat them to a pulp and then call for peace, because that makes so much sense. That's ridiculous, obviously. And immediately.
Yeah, but this is just how all presidents do it. Harris would have done this. Biden, I mean, he didn't, but he would have. Man, eventually Biden would have said, Biden Plaza Gaza, and referred to the Palestinians as a fucking cancer, and said, we got to bomb Iran. Because what's the difference between him and John McCain ultimately? It was all just for show, right, Candace? It couldn't possibly be that you're a gullible dipshit and you played a specific point in making this a positive outcome for Donald Trump, making sure that he got in a position of power so that he could do this exact thing. And so it's not that. It can't be that. It's that, they're all like this. It's the system. It's the deep state.
Immediately, MAGA began to revolt.
These motherfuckers, I got to tell you, this is the most aggravating, lazy bullshit.
Because what were all of these promises? No new wars, we said, right? No new wars was one of the early campaign promises. Going back.
Nope. No. He said no forever wars. No more forever wars. He didn't end any of the ones we were in, which would be, I think, what people would assume you would do right away. It's like, I don't know why you would even assume another war would come up. It's kind of a weird fucking thing that you would even start one of those things. But what you could do is wind down the ones we're in, namely Afghanistan. And he didn't do it. Why is that? Why would you punt something like that? What was different in 2017, in January of 2017, in Afghanistan from 2021? What was the difference? What was the difference? Nothing. So why not get out?
Dating back to...
Kind of weird that Hal is defending Trump. I'm not defending Trump. Don't ever think that for a second. What I'm saying is she voted for this. And instead of going, I voted for Trump and therefore I'm responsible for how this went and I should have known better and I got suckered by Trump into this shit. Instead of doing that, she's not copping to that at all. She's saying this is an America thing. This would have happened anyways. And it wouldn't have. It would not have.
2015, when people jumped onto the Trump train, it was because there was this vision of the forgotten man. We're so tired of being involved in these never-ending wars, being told that we're spreading democracy, and then only to come back and find that our country is in a steep decline.
By the way, what she means by our country's in a steep decline is that women refuse to be trad wives and gays can get married. That's what she means when she says a steep decline. You think she gives a rat's ass about the budget? The fuck out of here.
So we're immediately going, we've got whip.
Yeah, and something Jews.
Lash, because yesterday was Friday, and you said you're going to take a little pause and think, and then the Israeli media starts reporting that Bibi Netanyahu got on the phone and was like, no, there's a president, and then there's the ultra president, Bibi Netanyahu.
Right, because Trump can't possibly be responsible for this. He was obviously hypnotized by the charm and sophistication of Bibi Netanyahu.
We want you to hit him now, and so Trump did it. He hit him now. Again, that's according to reports in Israel. That's why he committed this whiplash, okay? Trump then gives a speech.
Also, hold on. Whoa. No. Never mind what the reporting is. Again, citation needed. But let's be abundantly clear. You can tell me anything you want to fucking tell me, and I'm not going to automatically do it just because I heard the words uttered in my fucking ear. What kind of Ray Epps bullshit is this? Is this just... I thought this was just a disease that Jan 6 maggots had. That somebody could come up while they're, staring at a police officer on the other side of the barricade on January 6th, and some dude walks up and goes, get him. And you're like, but I can't do anything. I have to beat a cop. But law and order, I'm shorting out. I got to start killing. But are you... You guys are that dough-headed? That's all it fucking takes?
About these strikes. And there was something that struck me about the speech. I want to see if you catch it. Take a listen to Trump addressing the nation.
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried...
What, how twitchy he is?
...out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian...
These foreign words... It's not foreign wars I don't want to get involved in. It's foreign words. They make my body hurt.
Regime, Fordo, Natanz.
Natanz. I didn't know you know that to properly pronounce Natanz, you have to curtsy. Natanz.
And Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they...
No, they did not. They haven't even heard them for months, dumbass.
Built this horribly destructive...
Again, the idea that this was like, well, hey, I warned you. And by the way, this is also making it everyone's like responsibility. Like, Obama should have bombed these places before. Now I got to do it. He left me a mess. You guys know the names of these cities. No, you fucking don't.
Enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's
at Natanz.
Nuclear enrichment capacity.
Oh yeah, the nuclear. Yeah.
Years.
By the way, watch your eyes when he says nuclear enrichment.
They built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the
nuclear. Sorry, my retainer came loose.
Nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world.
Look, Candace does not approve. Nuclear enrichment didn't bother her, but calling Iran the #1 state sponsor of terrorism, when she thinks that the #1 state sponsor of tourism is terrible. It's just wrong.
That the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not,
which reminds me of. Hold on. This it's gonna make me like end up doing it myself. And by the way, thank you guys for the super chats. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, here we go. This is basically, I got a better audio of Trump saying this.
No! Wait! Please? Please? Wait! Please make peace!
Right. That was Trump from the Dark Crystal. Okay. Make peace, which is funny because I don't know if you guys, you ever big Dark Crystal fans out there. I hope so. Chat room. That when he says make peace, he sounds like Pee Wee Herman. It was always funny to me when I was a kid. Like, please make peace. I know you are, but what am I? Like it was very odd that his voice when it went that high. So,
your attacks would be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel.
Please, wait!
They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen.
Also,
it will not continue.
Seen this one. Hold on.
I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu.
Be quiet. 1 second. Quit.
Perhaps
Hold on.
no team has ever worked before.
Hold on. I downloaded that sound file and it immediately jumped into my shit. Hold on. I can go into here, and then we'll put this in this business. One over here. Thank you. So. To edit this one. Why is this? Hold on.
And we've gone a long...
Oh, it's the wrong format. I'll do it later. Okay. Anyways, discard edits. Thank you. Here we go.
Long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done.
Wonderful.
And most importantly, I want to congratulate.
Also,
that's who after giving this speech justifying the strikes, he then goes on and he says that he would like to thank and congratulate Bibi Netanyahu. That's who he thanked and congratulated first. What he was thanking him for, what he was congratulating him for. I'm still a little iffy on the details. If you've got something, please drop it into the chat, like why we're...
Okay, she's just farming, responses. By the way, if you think that's wrong, write something in the comments below this video. Obviously, because they cleared the air and they made the airspace open for the attacks themselves, and so they did the primary attack. They literally own the skies over Israel, over Iran, and Israel clearly has air dominance and stuff. So technically speaking, they did the primary attacking, which is why Trump came in and just did one last sweep of the leg and wants credit for the whole fight. But that's exactly why he's thanking him. I mean, you don't have to be for it to know that's what he's fucking saying. And again, this has to do with this myth that she's trying to put forward, that somehow Trump is being hypnotized by Netanyahu and that he wouldn't do this under normal circumstances. Yes, he fucking would. He's 100% responsible for his decisions. He's a grown fucking man, and he can be swayed by Netanyahu or not swayed by Netanyahu, just like any other human being on the fucking planet. And if you can somehow avoid the tractor beam, why can't he? I'll tell you why he can't. Because then you'd have to admit that he was lying to you this whole time, and that it isn't even about how good the con is, but how gullible the fucking mark is.
We're congratulating Bibi Netanyahu for getting us involved in another regional conflict. Who knows? Maybe
he didn't. He didn't. He could want us to do it. He could say, you guys need to join this with us. If you don't, there's going to be trouble, whatever. But you could still go, I hear you, but I disagree. Like, he's a grown fucking man. He didn't get us involved in this. Trump did. Fucking say it. You know why you know why she doesn't have a problem blaming Netanyahu but letting Trump off the hook? She didn't vote for Netanyahu. She voted for Trump. That's what all these assholes are talking about. So again, we're hearing this conversation across so many fronts where they're like, Israel really controls these things. Israel is the one that drove us to these things. And why is it necessary for them to believe that AIPAC or Israel have so much control? Because they can't admit that Trump responded more directly and in more support of these kind of actions than previous presidents, namely Democrats. No matter what you say, there is a huge difference between giving stuff for the Iron Dome to Israel or and limiting, in the case of Gaza, what kind of bombs they can get from the United States for use there. And Donald Trump basically going, do whatever you want. Trump Plaza Gaza. And if you need me to go into Iran for you and bunker buster them, I'm glad to do it. There's a difference. And the only people who don't want you to think there's a difference are people who voted for Trump and are keeping it quiet, or people like her who want you to believe that it wasn't that she's a gullible piece of shit. It's that anybody would fall for this. I mean, it's not Trump's fault. Yeah, it is. If you voted for Trump, it's your fucking fault. And if you're walking it back, then it's not enough that you just go, I'm not going to vote for him again. This is sick. And you're like, no, you owe fucking Biden an apology. How do you like that? You owe Harris a fucking apology. You owe all the Democrats that you demonized by calling Democrats. Fuck off. Alyosha, but how was not everyone blaming Biden? A bunch of them were. I wasn't. And a bunch of us were trying to get Harris elected and gave a shit. 75 million people showed up and voted for Harris. They did all they could do in that circumstance, and they tried to do the best they could for the country. Even if they felt like they were holding their nose, they made the decent decision. But anybody who voted for Trump were like, I was going to vote for Jill Stein, threw it out, guaranteed that there would be a path for Donald Trump to get elected. You guys are on, this is on you, and you don't get to just go, I'm not going to do that again. That's not enough. If you're in this space, it's one thing for the average voter, but if you're somebody like Candace Owens, you got to fucking apologize. You were not just wrong. So, meanwhile, speaking of just wrong, ladies and gentlemen, Operation Midnight Hammer, the inside story of the B-2 attack on Iran. Also, Megyn Kelly breaks down Trump's decision to strike Iran's key nuclear facilities and the MAGA divide, because there have been talking points put out across all these fronts with these motherfuckers that are like, we know how it worked and how it went down. You know why? Because they got talking points from the fucking White House. That's why. Same as Charlie Kirk. They all got a fucking phone call.
Inside story of our direct attack on the Islamic regime in Iran over the weekend. It was called Operation Midnight Hammer.
Which, I gotta say, sounds like a Ted Nugent demo song.
And it involved about 125 U.S. aircraft. I've heard as many as 175, including multiple B-2 heavy.
I think it was 81, 74, 65. Who gives a shit?
Bombers. Now, we only have like 14 B-2 bombers. These things are enormous. They are the best of the best. These pilots are the best of the best.
At flying gigantic aircraft, I guess. I don't know. As fighter pilots, they wouldn't be very good because they tear the thing apart, right? They don't bank really well.
And we had
they're bombers.
12 of them up in the sky. That means...
up in what guy?
We should just salute our mechanics that we have in our military to keep 14, to have 12 of them up and ready to go at a moment's notice.
I think the other two probably were. What are they using the other two for fucking parts?
Is pretty remarkable. These are
why it's their job.
Very complex machines. So they had 12 of them up. Now we know that some of them were headed west towards Guam.
Yes, that was the head fake.
Now know that this was subterfuge. It was
subterfuge? I don't know that it was. Was it really subterfuge?
Headed west towards Guam. We now know that this was subterfuge.
What was subterfuge, which is a technical flying term for recalculating. Subterfuge.
It was misdirection. Everybody was paying attention to, the bombers heading west. They were like, what are they doing? They just left Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. 7 B-2s now are just they're headed west and they're going to Guam. Are we gonna bomb Japan? And everybody was.
Nobody said that.
Paying attention to that. It was brilliant strategy because the others were flying east.
Oh, wait a second. This asshole thinks that the ones that were actually flying that went to Guam and did fly there didn't circle in the air in case North Korea tried some shit? That they weren't positioned for a fucking reason? That it was just a head fake?
Now, just before the B-2s began their bombing run, dozens of Tomahawk cruise missiles were...
Wait for my signal to start your run.
...were fired from...
It's no use, Luke. Run, Luke, run.
U.S. submarines. They targeted nuclear sites at Nance and...
Nance? Nance? I didn't say Nance. I said Lance.
The other nuclear sites.
Yeah, Nance, Kimberly, Francesca.
Just a few minutes ahead of the bombers, they cleared the Iranian skies of enemy aircraft, although we didn't see any enemy aircraft. We didn't see...
You didn't? You were... were you operating one of the fucking windows? Who the fuck is we?
They didn't jam anything. I mean, it was like their military didn't exist. Now,
wait a second. Maybe they don't. Maybe not only their nuclear program is bullshit, maybe the mythology around their military was just there to keep them because they were paranoid about being attacked by Iraq or Israel or some other force. That they were like, wow, we got a lot of resources, we got a lot of money, and if anybody knew we were as weak as we were, we'd get fucked. So they lied about that too.
B-2 swept in, and they dropped these bunker busters. They're called MOPs.
Uh-huh. And it could have been that, or it could have been bullshit.
That was just bullshit, Joel.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's massive ordnance penetrators. They're bunker.
That's what they call me. Hello there.
Buster bombs. They are worth millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Until they aren't.
They are about the size of, I think, an F-16. They're enormous. And they are one of the more
I feel seen.
Precision bombs that we have. And they were made specifically for Fordo. They're made specifically. They were designed for this run.
Yeah, they're bespoke, to use a phrase that Scott Bessent likes. He did all the crocheting himself.
I spoke to some people.
Yeah, Skelts keeps saying Jackhammer, or I have to say that, is it Mike Hammer? Is what I keep thinking of every time they say Midnight Hammer. But there was also Sledgehammer, the spoof of that. This one, I don't know if you guys know this one, but David Raish is fucking genius in it. Sledgehammer is kind of like a Naked Gun type spoof of like Dirty Harry and other shit like that. It's a great show. And if you haven't seen Best Defense, and I feel like after all this is over, I'm just gonna have like viewing parties. That if you haven't seen Best Defense, David Raish is so fucking funny in it. He's also great in Burn After Reading. I've never seen anything he isn't terrific in. So, David Raish, you're fucking hilarious.
Who have been around the B2 program, shall we say. And they said for 15 years they have been training for this very run.
Oh, okay, so this is Obama's fault then.
For 15 years, they have, in fact, I think it's at White Sands, we built a replica of this nuclear plant.
Okay, so Obama really was taking this threat very seriously and was negotiating a deal with the Iranians. At the same time, he was, building a backdrop in case they wouldn't do it. Okay, so obviously Glenn would like to apologize to Obama, who covered his bases, no pun intended, with military hardware while making a peace deal with the Iranians, and was able to fucking do it until some dipshit from New York came in and scuttled the whole fucking thing.
And, underground, because we needed to see how far these bunker busters, could they actually penetrate and close that nuclear facility down. So we have been running this practice run for 15 plus years. We have been very, very serious about it. Again, when everybody said, only the United States could do this, that's because we built this bomb for this run.
Who's we, motherfucker? It sounds an awful lot like Obama did this and Trump's just taking credit for it.
And we have been rehearsing it over and over and over and over again.
Ever since, I guess, the Obama administration, but he had the sense not to use it prematurely.
So finally, the president gave the go. Now,
well, obviously after he let the Iranians know that we were coming so they could move their shit, which I don't think was part of the plan when Obama and them were rehearsing it over and over again. Did they rehearse that phone call too? Okay, so do I call Iran and let them know we're coming, or do you?
These bombs are so sophisticated that...
How sophisticated are they? They're so sophisticated, they stick their pinky out when they hold their hair back to vomit.
If they're being jammed and somebody is trying to screw with the GPS, it doesn't need GPS. It has a backup system that's coming from the plane that can't be jammed, and it's running.
What if it's strawberry jam?
Two systems, because this bomb has to be accurate enough to go down a shaft. If you saw a Top Gun, it's almost this, without the steep dive and then the mass acceleration.
It's a good movie. Keep it out of your fucking mouth. I hate when these assholes ruin perfectly good pop culture references by just getting it all fucking wrong.
And pull up at the end. It's exactly like what you saw in Top Gun. They had a shaft that was about a 10-foot square.
Oh my God. I got to close my drapes. Meanwhile.
And they needed...
Let's try to drapes. Anyways.
From 50,000 feet, they needed to drop these bunker busters down that shaft.
I've never missed.
Now, I have been told that this bunker buster is so accurate, it can hit the top of a soda can from 50,000 feet. So...
what if that soda can isn't full of nuclear weapons? Or, nuclear fissile material?
We dropped the missiles, 14 of these bunker busters.
Yeah. As you do. Sorry, a piece of software just started opening in the background, but there you go.
All sites connected to Iran's nuclear program presumed to be destroyed. If you look at the maps before and after, the satellite imagery, it looks pretty bad. I don't know what I'm looking at, but I talked to some people who do know what they're looking at, and
I'm so glad he's here with us, aren't you?
they said it looks like it's totally destroyed, but we have to have somebody down on the ground to actually verify, and I would imagine those are the Israelis that are doing that. So now that is what's happening on the ground.
What's happening?
Over the weekend, past, present, and now let's look at the future, because this leaves us with massive questions. What comes next? What does all of this mean?
Means you're an asshole. That's what it means. I'm fairly certain that's. Whoops. Hold on. There we go.
So now let's look at what all of this means. Hopefully this is a one and done strike like it was when President Trump took out Soleimani during his first term. There is an opportunity to get more involved, and I hope we don't take it, and I hope Iran doesn't push us into that.
Oh, God.
What we cannot have is another prolonged military fiasco in the Middle East. We cannot have American boots on the ground.
No, we cannot. Absolutely.
And I know President Trump, and I know he doesn't want that either.
You sure about that? Because I think you were pretty sure that he wasn't going to do this to start with.
Now, the question is, what is Iran going to do? Will they begin targeting U.S. forces on the ground?
Is he actually talking about the Death Star? He's so stupid. Yes.
Around all over the Middle East. Will the Iranian-backed terrorists begin attacking us right here in the U.S.? And boy, do we have some information on that. Also, Iran has long held the Straits of Hormuz. They have the threat of closing all oil traffic. That's a big ace up their sleeve. Is that next? We know that the supreme leader, the religious leader, called for it.
You guys didn't want to look at him, did you? I was looking for this one. Hold on. Yeah. So this is Megyn Kelly. Basically, same argument, same kind of story, all full of shit.
Between the MAGA, more isolationist wing.
More isolationist. That would be the people who are calling for Trump to be impeached currently.
And the more neocon wing that still is very much present and not dominant, but present and large within the Republican Party.
Yes, these would be the people who apparently talked Trump into this.
I'll say this clearly.
Because he's obviously a sponge-headed fuck.
I don't know. You don't.
That's all, folks.
You don't have to be a neocon to be in support of what President Trump just did. Iran.
You kind of do, though, don't you?
Iran is an enemy of the United States. Iran has been the number one state sponsor of terror against the United States for the past 46 years. Iran.
Well, they certainly haven't pulled it off.
Is not just theoretic.
Because I'm fairly certain it was all the hijackers on 9/11 were Saudis, weren't they? I mean, then why the fuck did you cheerlead Bush taking us into Iraq and Afghanistan if Iran's been the number one bad guy for 40 fucking years? The argument, I think, is if that's true, why didn't you wipe these fuckers out 3 decades ago, dummy? Why didn't you show up at Fox News and go, all right, enough is enough?
Chanting death to America, as some absolute fools have been suggesting over the past few days. They have actually been causing death to Americans
the nerve.
For decades now. Decades.
It's just rude. And they've been chanting, have they? Well, when are we going to... Thank you, Megyn Kelly. As Americans, I think it's very important that all free speech rules being what they are, we have to kill these people for chanting.
Our Marines, our Air Force, members of our military, all over the world, including most...
All over the world, everybody's got the word. Sorry, I can't take this seriously.
Recently in Iraq and beyond there. So, and not to mention what the Houthis have been doing. I mean, Iran has several arms to it that are sponsored by it and assisted by it, from Hamas to Hezbollah to the Houthis and beyond, who have been doing its bidding. It is ridiculous to suggest that Israel started this war with Iran. Israel was
oh my God,
attacked by Iranian proxy Hamas. That's how this whole thing got started. And if you ask me the reason...
Right. We should have attacked the Iran the second it happened. Thank you, Megyn Kelly, for what? Wait, what?
We did what we did this week.
We did. That's true. I mean, you can't argue with it. We did what we did. I did what I did this weekend, and you did what you did, and we did what we did, even though if we didn't do what they did or Trump did.
Weekend. It's because it all starts with 10-7 in that the Iranian proxies have been greatly weakened by Israel over the past 2 years, greatly weakened.
Oh, I see. So Trump is basically just a giant gaping anus who is, as you know, wuss that he is just taking advantage of the fact that your enemies are down. Israel's got him on the ropes. Why not just roll in and finish him and take credit? I see. Okay, so this was just a big ego flag. Okay.
I mean, Hezbollah's in tatters. Hamas is too. The Houthis just got bombed by President Trump for weeks.
Yeah, and then until they didn't, and now they're buddies, or are they?
6 weeks, by the way. No one was saying he didn't have authorization to do it, just like they didn't say Obama didn't have authorization on the thousands of strikes he did that didn't have specific congressional authorization beyond the authorization of...
Yeah, real quick. Those were about terrorist camps or actual fighters like ISIS or something that were separate from the government of the country that they were in. And in most cases, we got permission of those countries, specifically Iraq and Syria even, were okay with us striking and even aided in some cases us striking the militias that were inside their borders. This is very different than hitting Iranian facilities in Iran. Even the killing of Qasem Soleimani, which was an assassination act, when Trump did it, he waited till the guy was in Iraq. He was in a different country. He wasn't even in the process of doing his job necessarily. He was outside the country, and Trump took advantage of that fact. Is she on the fat shot? No. She's. I think she's just starving herself and drinking a lot of gin.
Use of military force that was passed after 9/11. Right? Both presidents, many presidents have used it.
No, not the same thing. Sorry. Wholly different thing. No. And even in the case where other people may have done it, I would even arguably go back to Bush. There was at least the illusion that they had attacked us first. Us, not our proxies, not other people, not an ally, but us.
So, from Bush to Obama to Trump, and now Trump again. So Iran...
Right, because you can't bring up Biden because he didn't do this. So obviously there's not some sort of Zionist puppet master controlling everyone, because apparently Biden was able to tell them to go fuck themselves. Maybe it's a Catholic thing.
Has been...
Maybe it's the whole going to church thing. Maybe, I don't know, if it's your favorite book, read the Bible, and maybe you might be able to have conversations with the people that are arguing about the value of Jerusalem or something, and the idea that magic rocks and magic families.
Killing Americans for a long time. And the reason I think we had an American president who was willing to listen to the Netanyahu claims of, right now it's imminent, the nukes are imminent, is because Iran was so weakened, it made sense now in a way it didn't before.
Huh? Sorry, so before they were a real threat, but while they were a real threat, they were too much of a real threat. Now they're less of a real threat, but still a real threat, so now's the time to go in.
It was, in a way, less provocative to bomb Iranian nuclear sites right now than it ever has been before. And
because Israel attacked them and cleared the skies and all that kind of stuff and acted, I guess, as a proxy. Is that what you're saying? So if it was a real test of his manhood and his mettle as a leader, he whiffed it last time. And so this time Israel did most of the work for him. Jesus, it's almost like this is exactly like the rest of his fucking life. Born on third base, thinks he hit a triple.
Poses danger, sure, to our U.S. troops, especially on foreign military sites, but less now than it has in decades. And so while I look at the isolationist right, for lack of a better term,
I have a lot of better terms. Maggot adjacent fuckers. It doesn't matter. I don't care how upset they are by this or for this they're all going to vote for him.
And I think, okay, I see they've lost this one for sure. There's no question.
No question.
My friend Tucker and others.
Oh, Tucker's lost it. That's for sure.
And Bannon did not want this to happen.
Thank you, Catherine.
So they lost this one. They had.
We got 9 of 15 of the goal. Are we getting close to it, or we missed it? We missed the goal. That's so sad. 9 of the 15. Oh well. I'll try another one.
Every right to be concerned, and they have an ongoing right to be concerned. Their objections are based on some very real and unfortunate recent history. What happened in Iraq, chief among them. The absurd, failed nation building we tried under President George W. Bush, which was continued under Barack Obama.
Sorry, real quick. Not a fan of the Iraq War. Again, didn't get suckered by it. None of that stuff. But have we heard a peep out of fucking Iraq since then? Did they turn into a failed state that's just full of violence? Did they, after Saddam Hussein was deposed by his own people ultimately and killed, did they degrade into a non-functioning state, or are they because I got, say what you will, but Afghanistan's been on our radar for quite some time. Specifically, Iraq has not. Not that it was certainly a mission accomplished situation, but I don't think people are going to take that lesson from it. I think they've basically forgotten that was the lesson of Iraq. Ask anybody that Charlie Kirk talks to. Ask them what the lesson is from Iraq. They'll recite this whole idea of we've got to the weapons of mass destruction were a lie and regime change doesn't work. But ultimately, they're going to be reciting it. They're not going to feel it in their bones like they went through it.
It was a nightmare, and even our troops have had it.
Thank you, Owen.
Look at the interviews we did.
Hold up 4 more. Okay, yeah. I there's a time limit on them on the goal thing, but I don't care if we got 4 more, we'll be okay. Thank you, JG.
Here on this program with Sean Ryan. Look how Rob O'Neill has turned on it. Look how Pete Hegseth has turned on some of these missions. Not the sacrifice, of course, made by our troops, but just the folly of thinking we could swoop into the Middle East and create some democratic republic that in any way resembled our own or had shared values with us.
You mean like Jordan or Egypt in general, or technically speaking at this point, Qatar or Oman or Bahrain? I mean, even the ones that are monarchies that have an elected system around them, mean like that. Also, I guess technically Iraq, even though it's become a semi-subsidiary of Iran in the last little bit. Oh my gosh, Jen, thank you so much. I guess I am sticking around. My goodness.
So we're a little jaded when it comes to Middle East meddling.
Yeah, but who gives a shit? It doesn't mean anything. I don't care if you're jaded. These assholes are going to vote for him again. She's going to support anything that Trump wants to do with migrants, with healthcare, or lack of what he's going to do with healthcare, gutting healthcare. Who gives a shit if you're jaded in this particular situation if it's not going to affect your fucking behavior? That's my problem with it. I'm jaded about this. That's why I'm not going to vote for another Republican again, because I happen to think that Democrats handle this shit differently. And I'm not deluded like a bunch of these motherfuckers to think that if Al Gore had been president in 2001 after 9/11, if it even happened at all, because I think Al Gore would have read his presidential daily brief and it might have been averted in the first place, that the idea that Al Gore would have gone, well, time to go into Iraq is bullshit. And anybody who sells that is trying to forgive their own, like, I don't know, I voted for the guy, maybe we could have a beer with him. He seemed like an okay guy at the time. We need an outsider, like the son of somebody who was already president.
Understandably. And the other piece of it that is real is Bibi Netanyahu is suffering right now when it comes to some large factions of the American people with looking like the boy who cried wolf. All right. Now, I'm sorry, but I've been in the news business for 20 years now.
Wait, when did that start?
And every single one of them.
You used to work at Fox, though, so probably 3 years maybe since you've done the podcast. And even then, I would say, simmer down. You're on Sirius XM.
I have heard him say that Iran is months, at most a couple of years away from getting a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, but there was also other stuff, I think, in there, wasn't there? Like they did stuff, they struck their places and set them back a couple of years, and then they would start rebuilding again, and that was the whole point. That's why we're dangerously close to an argument about regime change you fucking moron, because that's every time they say like, oh, they're months away, we got to do something. So a strike would happen or a deal would be made. Arguably the deal that Obama made set their program back without violence for several years. But then when Trump kicked it out, suddenly we're back on that ratchet again. We didn't hear that shit all during the JCPOA.
Every single one of them. And we pulled a little montage of it over the years. But I mean, we could have gone back to the 1990s with Bibi doing this. Here's just a sampling.
The most dangerous of these regimes is Iran. Only the United States can lead this vital international
96.
effort to stop the nuclearization of terrorist states. But the deadline for attaining this goal is getting extremely close.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb.
2012.
By next spring, at most, by next summer,
12.
at current enrichment rates.
Yeah, we can read the fucking number, lady. Good God. Hold on. I've seen this thing before, and it doesn't sell the point. Who gives a shit? Yeah, we know.
Arsenal, and this in a matter of weeks, once it makes that decision.
Yeah, isn't that when the Republicans invited him to speak to Congress during Obama? Remember that?
Okay, so he said it a lot. And I think a large portion of the American populace is reacting to that in not believing him. When he says it now and our president acts in response. And clearly our president is responding to the Israeli intelligence. There was a New York Times report out just this weekend talking about how
or lack thereof.
The Israeli intelligence showed it was dated actually this is dated last Wednesday. Israeli intelligence was showing that Iran was making cruder and faster efforts to get a nuclear weapon, and the weaker the Iranians got, the closer they were moving to the bomb. In other words, it sounds like it was an act of desperation, like we're going down, we need it now. In terms of the enrichment
right. And isn't the timing perfect?
Of uranium, Iran was days away from where it needed to be, but there were other components it still required to complete the weapon. It points out in the same...
Yeah, like the rocket, the timer, the trigger mechanism, the delivery shell for it. Yeah, everything except the uranium.
Report, however, that contrary to Israeli claims, senior administration officials within the Trump administration were unaware of any new intel showing the Iranians were rushing to build a nuclear bomb. It seems clear to me that Trump was listening to Bibi's intel and not to our own. And there are flaws with our own because we've had a...
Well, yeah, Tulsi Gabbard, I guess. Why don't you just call her out? Obviously, Trump is big on if he wants an organization within the government to fail, he puts a woman in charge. Do you have anything to say on that?
Director of National Intelligence, not Tulsi, but we've had an office of DNI that since Obama was there to do one thing, and honestly, the end of George W. Bush too.
Avoid war?
To just say Iran doesn't mean it. Iran's not actually going to do a bomb. Don't worry, because there's zero...
Whoa, lady. You don't get to fucking roll back like, we've got a bunch of the hits of the guy who cried wolf. We have all these things of him calling it, and then lay it at the feet of Bush and Obama for going, yeah, that's the way we felt about it too. We weren't taking the bait. Now that Trump takes the bait all of a sudden, that makes it real? The fuck out of here. And the weaker they got, the stronger their nuclear program got.
Appetite,
Jesus.
especially even at the end of Bush, to bomb Iran or to get involved in a new Middle East war. And so they used the DNI office for years to be the excuse for not doing anything about it.
Didn't you just say that he was the guy that cried wolf? Or are you just saying that Netanyahu this whole time during all those clips you were showing, he was telling you the truth, and we didn't have the guts to follow him?
Nothing there. Don't worry. They don't really mean it. They're not going to do it. Don't worry.
And they didn't, and they weren't.
And the Israeli intelligence, and I don't know whether it's real or not, to be honest with you, but it's certainly been consistent saying they're inches away. And what we saw most recently was the IAEA, which is the International Monitoring Organization when it comes to nuclear behavior, which was going in, though it was given more and more limited access at the Iranian nuclear sites, saying...
Weird. You mean after the JCPOA was broken by Trump?
They have 60% enriched uranium, which absolutely no domestic energy program needs. You need about 10% to do domestic energy or under. You don't need 60. They're moving towards a bomb.
You tell them, Megan.
Absolutely 100%. And we're enriching enough energy to have, according to the reports, 9 or 10 of them already. We were pretending we didn't see it. That's my take on it.
Based on what, other than you have to apologize for Trump?
And not just mine, but many smart
Thank you, TBK.
experts who've been watching the region. Because nobody had the appetite for a war with Iran. And President Trump doesn't have the appetite for a war with Iran.
Well, I don't give a shit. He's going to finish it or he's not going to get any dessert. How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat?
Nothing inconsistent, not one word in the way Trump ran for office and the way he's handled this crisis.
Well, we did bomb another country, period. And there's no proof that they have a weapon or that they're getting closer to a weapon than they've been before.
He wasn't.
Or that there was another way that they couldn't be talked out of it with simple, like, real negotiations. The problem is after he broke the deal, why would you take a new deal with him?
Never an isolationist. I'm sorry, he wasn't.
Yeah, you Tucker.
Part of MAGA
canned ass
is far more than Trump is. We discussed this when I interviewed
Jenny Faye, thank you.
Marco Rubio, talking about the factions of the party. Trump's got a foot in both camps.
Boy, does he.
And
it's called being flip-flopper or indecisive or I guess just full of shit.
Trump has not been shy about using American power where it made strategic sense. And he thought...
Yeah, look down and read. Yeah, he's not been shy about, a lot of things to do in the studio today. A lot of things. How did this get so messy? Can I get a squeegee or something? This studio is a mess.
That it would well serve the United States. There was a tweet that Noah Pollack put out just this weekend, which was excellent.
Excellent tweet. As tweets go, sure.
It reads as follows. This endless war shrieking is ridiculous. Trump bombed the Houthis for 6 weeks, then ended it. He fought ISIS for around 2 years, defeated them, then ended it.
Also, the Houthis aren't a country, dumb fuck. ISIS isn't a country either. Iran's a fucking country. That's the difference.
Trump killed Soleimani and did not engage further. He degraded al-Shabaab in Somalia for 3
Oh my God, they struck our base and it gave some of our soldiers traumatic brain injury. And he was like, some people got some headaches.
Years and then ended it. Trump's record of
he assassinated somebody.
Not dragging us into another endless war is impeccable. There is something in between targeted military strike.
By the way, when he talks about Afghanistan, he says that we should have kept Bagram, which means staying forever. There's no way you keep Bagram and leave Afghanistan. Doesn't happen. You can't stay and leave at the same time. Don't believe me? Ask Marla Maples.
An endless war. And Trump and, yes, Netanyahu saw the opportunity for it.
Well, believe me, no one questions them being opportunistic.
In bombing the nuclear sites of a now weakened Iran, whose proxies are in no...
They're just weakened by what? What were they weakened by? Oh, direct strikes by Israel. Sure. And then they call them and say, hey, they're weakened. You want to get them now? We knocked them. They're in their ass. You want to take a shot?
No position to fight back the way they would have been even 5 years ago. So I don't think...
At all, it seems. I honestly, I think this is just response-based. I wouldn't call it emotional because that gives it too much credit.
They have the capacity to respond in the way some are fearing. And I don't think they are inclined to go that route. I know.
Yes, thank you. Tell us what Iran's inclinations are for the next decade, especially if the leadership stays in power now. So let me get this straight. According to this motherfucker and the dude she carries testicles for that's in the White House right now, that the Iranians are going to not only take the assassination of the head of the IRGC, but the elimination of its leaders and the bombing of its nuclear sites and the bombing of its gas refineries and some of its power stations and all of its military buildings over the last couple of weeks. And they're going to just suck it up. They're just going to, and they're going to bury the hatchet and they're going to start from scratch. You know what? We were in the wrong. We're going to learn a lesson the Russians have yet to learn, that, you know, you pick a fight like this, we're in the fuck around and find out period, and we just found out, and so we're going to change our behavior. And she thinks they're inclined to behave that way. Based on what? Besides, this is a great Russian talking point, and Trump and the Iranians are in league in this way, that he just wants deals made afterwards, and Russia's promising him a Nobel Peace Prize if he makes this happen, or if they just sacrifice, you know, elements of the Iranian regime to this, which is, I just don't think they're inclined to take it lying down.
They're martyrs. I know they love the jihad. They hate the infidel. They mean death to America.
But right now they're kind of on the fence about it.
But I think they understand that escalating this will risk everything they care about.
Okay, so they'll de-escalate, and then they'll just hide and attack later? Cool. So after Trump's left office or something like that, the rest of us will pay the price for his bullshit. Cool. Great idea. Nothing I like more than blowback for shit I was against.
For sure, from the Ayatollah's ability to go on, though he's already 86, to the Islamic regime in general. So that's my own back of the envelope take.
Jesus Christ, what a fucking sales pitch. Ugh. All right, one more thing before we jump in this. Yeah. You've seen that. This is... There's so much like long form stuff. Can I show you a little snippet of something though? Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present to you Cenk Uygur yelling at Kyle and his and wife.
I'm not saying that as an insult. You're not seeing it.
Oh, by the way, yeah. So Crystal Ball, and I guess Cenk's been shitting all over her. So the two of them are pushing back. So they had Cenk on. Just one moment.
The tactic of let's work with them and try to cut the Pentagon budget failed. The tactic of let's resist this project outright and make the case and make Elon himself politically toxic succeeded.
So, Crystal, we do live in two different worlds. It's fascinating to see. It's amazing to see. So, number one, the project of saying cut the Pentagon worked. Why did it work? Because they cut the Pentagon, it magically became...
Look at her face.
Became progressives overnight? No. It worked because it showed and highlighted their hypocrisy, that they weren't going to cut the Pentagon. And now...
By the way, he was saying, they played a clip of him earlier, that he was like, he believes you can work with MAGA because eventually they're going to, push for something and then wake up to the fact, never mind the fact that like going easy on them or calling it a coin flip. And this is, again, the lesser of two evil argument that he sold for years about Democrats and Republicans. He's now going, well, yeah, I don't know. Eventually they're going to come around to this or whatever. And her case is the budget's gone up at the Pentagon.
I know, I get it, guys. Especially if you're in the audience, you're not seeing it. I get it. And I'm not saying that as an insult. But you're not seeing it.
So
because
you won because the Pentagon budget went up, even though you thought that the Pentagon budget would get cut.
Can I finish? Okay. So the reason you're not seeing it is because you're not engaging with MAGA, and that's okay. And you don't want to engage with MAGA. I got it.
Do you know who I am? Do you know the show I host?
I don't know if you know who you are.
Who are you talking to right now?
Okay,
I host a show with Sagar Enjeti and Emily Jasinski every day.
Okay, so Crystal,
no one in this room talks more to MAGA than I do, okay?
Yeah, okay. So are you saying that none of the MAGA voters were thrilled that they added to the Pentagon? Is that what you're saying?
They don't give a shit because Trump did it.
Elon and Trump.
No, you guys were...
By the way, Crystal's completely right in this situation, and Cenk is fucking embarrassing himself on the show. Kyle jumps in occasionally because there's a cucking going on, apparently, where she's dunking on Cenk, and he's like, oh yeah, what my wife said, which is fine, whatever. But Crystal's like, this idea that you could somehow play nice with MAGA and win them over with your fucking populism, and this illusion that somehow they're gonna come out as the Bernie bros at some point because they all agree on stuff, like labor and other stuff, that they all share this because they're all blue collar. There's this class thing you're gonna win them over on is fucking bullshit. They don't care. They are gonna fold in behind him, and they also, the big thing that I don't think people grasp is that when it comes to maggots in particular, when they think about, if you tell them, dude, you're getting screwed, the rich are getting these tax cuts and you're getting fucked, you know what they think? But if I win the lottery, the government's going to take half my money. That's where they go. Like, Political Punk played this clip. You should have him on. Okay, sounds good, Luis, if you say so. I'm not familiar, but cool. But the key here is that they don't have the same kind of class viewpoint that Chink thinks they do, and they're not as convincible because those guys are all in on the idea that they expect to be made rich in Trump's America. This is a fucking Ponzi scheme. MAGA's a Ponzi scheme. They think it's going to make them rich. They think they're going to sell enough timeshares to be able to retire in the fucking Bahamas. That's where their brain goes. They don't go, oh man, it is me against the world. The man is coming down on me. The 1%. They don't hear the 1% the way you and I do. They hear 1% as that's the group I want to be a part of. I don't want to be a part of you sucks in the 99. They don't have a realistic view at all. As a matter of fact, there's a big portion of them that don't give a rat fuck about the budget overall because they think it won't apply to them one day because they'll be part of the upper class, the rich. They'll be in a protected class as maggots, that Trump will give them some sort of special dispensation against paying taxes or something one day. But none of these fuckers are like, I'm bootstrapping and the system's against me and it doesn't really matter who's running it or whatever. That conspiratorial horse shit does not fly with them. They think they're going to win one day. They think that their path is going to lead them to wealth, to riches. Right? And so they're not worried about rich people's tax cuts the way we do. They just don't hear it. And everybody thinks that the language, applies because of course they've got to see it. They need health care. They're bankrupted by health premiums just like other people are. They don't give a fuck, man. They don't. You can't talk to them that way. You can shame them and embarrass them. That's it. If they're MAGA, that's what they're fucking doing. If they're Republicans, maybe you could talk them over one side. You can have the occasional, Walsh or somebody who switches sides. You can have independents. But if they're MAGA and they view themselves as MAGA, it's not just that they think there's an establishment and they're against it, or a deep state and they're against it, and you think that means the same thing to them, and it doesn't. It does not mean that. Those words mean something wholly fucking different. In French, they're called faux amis, false friends. Words that sound alike, but mean something totally different. You cannot convince a maggot based on class warfare. You can't fucking do it because they don't believe it. They think they're only poor because it's a temporary state. And they believe you're poor because of your mentality and you were raised that way and you're going to be stuck that way. And don't believe me, ask Andrew Tate. That's what they think. So the idea that you're going to appeal to them as workers of the world unite, or we're going to all lock arms. The last place these motherfuckers want to be is on a fucking picket line. They want to be in management. They all think they are. They're all fucking Randy Quaid from Christmas Vacation. He really wasn't able to find a job for 7 years? Well, he's holding out for a management position. That's who they are. So the idea that you're playing in the fucking same sandbox or telling them the same story is wrong. It's why I'm so against the jargon movement. Because you rely on that jargon. You're like, I'm saying the magic word. Why does this motherfucker not hear me? Because they do hear the word. It just means something totally different. And Chink thinks that everybody uses the same words the same way and that they're malleable in this way. And it's fucking bullshit. And partly because he doesn't think that way. He's rich. He's rich. He can't understand class warfare even if he fucking tried. And neither can Anna. They didn't even come from poverty. They came from, at worst, upper middle class. So these are always performative words. They don't have any depth to either of them. So it's easy to misuse a word that's not part of your real vocabulary because the meaning doesn't matter to you. It's all just fucking jargon, no matter what it is. They might as well be fucking selling condos. And this motherfucker will never shake that. These words are never going to mean anything to him, any more than the word fight does. And this is also one of the things. Anybody who's been in a fucking fight, a real fight, like a dangerous one. And I've got a hole in my head, like you can almost see it right there, where I was stabbed in the head with a pencil when I was a kid in a fight when I was in high school. Boom, like that. And I went up, I turned my head up like that and went up into the side of my head like that, and the pencil broke off, and I spent the rest of the fight with a fucking broken pencil sticking out of my head, hanging there like this. Like that. Those are, if you've been in a real fight, the word fight doesn't sound cute or colloquial or political to you. It sounds like a real, it's awful. It's really awful. Real fights are fucking terrible. And people get killed in stupid dust-up fights all the fucking time. And if you've ever been in a situation where you are 2 punches away from putting somebody down forever and you're aware of your own strength in that moment, you don't really throw the word, hey, we got to fight for what we believe in the same way. If you've never been in a fight, you'll write, we got to fight for our right to party. Everybody else, if you've been in a real fight, it's not something you want to bring up. That's why fight doesn't fucking mean anything to Cenk Uygur. He doesn't fight for anything. He yells. And fighting ain't yelling. You don't win a fight by being louder than the other fucking person. And you certainly don't fight and legislate at the same time. Sorry, you got to stand up for what you believe in. That's a very true statement, especially in Congress. Look at Cory Booker. Fucking stood there for over 24 hours. Right? You got to stand up. You got to be able to take a stand. Be there. That's good language. That's real language. That's realistic language. This motherfucker doesn't know shit about fighting. This dopey fucking marshmallow would go down in a fucking instant in a real fight. So the word doesn't have any meaning, good or bad. Even the people who have been in fights and they win all the time, and you're like fucking, you're McGregor or something, and you're fucking walking around like this and swinging your fucking arms, and then one fight your leg gets broken, and all of a sudden you're talking about retiring and selling fucking liquor for a living and becoming just a public figure, right? Because all of a sudden that word shifted meaning on you. Same thing with Trump. Trump's never had a fucking fight in his life. Even reading Mein Kampf for him, his struggle. He doesn't even understand fucking struggle. He sweated because he almost lost his dad's fortune a bunch of times. But not like other people have struggled. Not somebody with a fucking kid with cancer and medical bills. That's not the same fucking thing. And it will never be the same fucking thing for him or his kids. They have no idea. And so if you talk about fighting with these motherfuckers, they're talking about UFC. I wrestle with you, Al. Safe word is sparkle. All right. Just work on your pronunciation. You have to be able to say it while you're passing out. And again, this motherfucker has no idea what these words mean. Nothing. No idea. And when he's talking to these people, he's like, well, I can make friends with these people because we use the same kind of bullshit language. Yes, because you're both bullshitters. Cenk's a bullshitter, Trump's a bullshitter. And they're like, neither one of us actually give a fuck about these things. Why can't we just settle on it? Whereas other people who sit there legislating fucking pull out all this paper and go, okay, all right, on a material level, these people make this amount of money, this people make this amount of money. We got to help as many people as we want. We got to, without harming either group of people, and that takes a lot of fucking work. That's not fighting. Ugh. All of these assholes would be taken out by the kidney. I'm just saying. What? I don't even know what the hell that was all about. You guys know what
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
Ah, okay, good. I was so confused. All right, now, we definitely got an AMA, so let's do this. Since we're at the end of the show and we've made our point and I've ranted. I feel better for having ranted. God damn it. So, ask me anything. Go for it. All right, here we go. Let's see. I wish you would do the whole show with the puppet. I haven't ruled it out. Yeah. Did you channel a New York City rat? He's actually, I don't think he's a New York City rat. I think he's actually from Chicago. Yeah. Yeah. For the record. Yes. Do you think Biden would have beaten Trump? Yes, I do. I do. Because the age thing would have been less of an issue than sexism. And I got news for you. The electorate is not ready for a woman president, and it ain't just righties. It ain't just trad wife Karens. It's a whole mix of fucking people in this country, and it's something we got to heal over time. It's going to take work, and we can't bum rush it no matter how hard we try. Yeah. Is your new music available to listen to? I'm working on that. I'm working on setting up a little account on my website where you can just kind of play it in the background if you want and download them. Do I have a special place in your heart? Yes. Of course, the kidney. Yeah.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
It absolutely does. So, can you spell Endrgy? Yes. ENDRO GEDY. Update on Fika's Baby Hal. I'm working on it. Yes, headway, but they shut down the software, so I've got to start from scratch. So I have to build those things. Bespoke crochet, thoughts? Is there another kind? I think all crochet is technically bespoke. It's one of a kind. Any tips for fixing my shoulder? I heard you mention it on Boston Bryant. Yes, I fucked up. Well, it depends on what's wrong with it. But the key is like a busted ankle. Once you get it where it's set right and your posture's good, whatever the weakness is in the muscle around it, whether it's in the front or something like that, you need to not be embarrassed to start light and slowly work. Give yourself a big time window, because joints especially require a lot more of a time window for rehabbing than, say, a busted muscle or even a ligament, in some other, or like a hamstring or something like that where it's torn or something like that. Those will heal a little bit better than the inner workings of a joint, and especially your shoulders. Very fucking complicated. So what I would say is that when you're doing that, you need to keep working out, but do it as light as you can. Literally, I had a point where I couldn't do a push-up on a kitchen counter. When you lean against it, because my left arm would just wouldn't go. It was fucked up. It was really bad. And so now I'm back to where I could throw a plate on, and I could probably do, like, if I really wanted to, I could probably do 245 plates, but I'm not going to, because the chance that it could hurt itself again is too high. So I just slowly work my way up and do progressive overload. That's what I do. You gotta, oh, right. Wow. Well, Ben, have good luck with your surgery. I had, as a musician, I had surgery on this finger. You can see it's got 3 screws in it, and it was a nervy thing. Yeah. So there you go. Cussing puppet. Thank you. Thank you, JD Christie. AI is a powerlifter. Right. I'm jealous about your bunker. I feel like Princess Leia with a weird buddy. You could use a good kiss. Good morning, Mr. President Hal Sparks. How are you today, sir? Watching from Australia on a Tuesday morning. Good on you, Carrie. Glad you could be with us. Cat cam. We do have that in there. I don't know if, hold on, let me see if I can open the door. I don't know that a cat will come in. Yeah, there's not one out there, but I do have, technically speaking, let's see if I can throw this in. I'll show you. I put it in there. Let's see. I'm going to add a video capture device, and then it is okay. It's going to be on here. And then I go to, where is it? Where'd you go, you rat? Hold on. Let this come out. 1 second. Oh, it came unplugged. That's weird. Hold on. How'd you get yanked out of here, you big jerk? Take this guy and plug it in here like this. 1 second. I'm working on it. Give me 1 second. Chip. It's the wrong side. Sorry. My bad. This is difficult. I'm actually doing it live on the show. Hold on. There we go. Get in there. I can't watch. I got to be careful or it'll pull out on its own. You know what I'm talking about. Look out. There you go. All right. Excellent. Now, here you go. And there it is. Whoops. Okay. And then this guy should be really small. There you go. So that would be my, whoops, come here, you. Down here. There it is. So that's the cat cam, as best we can do. I installed it on the wall the other day, so I should probably put it in one of the monitors, like so that it's kind of always there in case the cats come in. This little guy right here, but that's it. There you go. Ta-da! All right, now that it's in there, I'll turn it off, and then when I have a cat come in here and they're wandering around, especially a little bit, Bucky loves to come in and kind of wander around. So yeah, Hal's arm in the chat. Sorry, all right, excellent question about the tech pros doing the Insta military gigs. Discussing. Hold on. Excellent question about the tech pros doing the Insta military gig. It's disgusting, honestly, and a slap in the face to our actual military. Agreed. Did you ever meet Rosie O'Donnell? I have. She was on Queer as Folk with us. Yep. She was always lovely. We get a cameo from Summer. That's up to her. I need an anti-fatigue mat to stand on. Oh yeah. Well, I have one of those like balancing things, but I don't have it in here right now because it makes me too tall for the camera. Do you intentionally swap stink in place of the traditional rot in saying that about fish? Oh, fish rots from the head or stinks from the head? No, yes, I do. Because of Trump's stinkiness. Yeah. Wish you could see Maddie more. She's so lovely and sweet. It's true. But she is also very delicate. Whereas Fika's, he's trapped in a piece of dead software, unfortunately. Teddy was on Rosie O'Donnell's show. Oh, that's cool. Loved Andor, last 3 episodes. Very cool. The new Resident Evil is a lot of fun. Please interview Election Truth Alliance. Okay. Glad to. Looks like Hal's wearing Skechers. He is. I am wearing Skechers. That is true. These are slip-ins because I feel like I have house shoes like Mr. Rogers. You can wear recovery sandals. That's a good idea, I suppose. I don't wear sandals though. Can he be revived? Yes. What do you think about Trump signing the flag? I think it's a desecration and it's gross. It's as bad as burning it, but it's free speech, so who cares? Thank you for being our internet friend. Absolutely, Queen of Spades. Do I have an update on Stamos? Does he still suck? I don't know. Stamos was always nice. I met him twice, I think. That's all I know. John Stamos? We're talking about the same Stamos, I hope. Cupcake is in the same prison. Yes, it's the same thing. Would you be my neighbor? Those are 50 plus shoes. Oh, thanks, 50 plus. I'm glad we share that. Why no high radiation readings in Iran? Because they didn't strike a reactor, and because a lot of that stuff is stored in, and if you've got stuff under the ground, it's one thing to bomb the entire place, but it'll also be stored in something that is more resilient. Yeah. Does Hal know John Cryer? No, only internet friends. Seems like a good dude, though. No, Jim Stamos, the serial killer. I see. Okay. I just saw Stamos in a Drumeo episode. Jared's okay. Yes, they're all in the Phantom Zone. Can you use the AI to develop filters? Uh-oh, Ken's on to me. I'm trying to hack the software doing that. We are the sparkling kidney kids. Yes, you are, Mad Mac. Would you accept a nomination for VP instead of president? Of course. As long as the person was on their deathbed. No, I'm just kidding. What was your favorite vacation? That's a tough one. A trip to France when I was 14. That school trip I took because it changed my life, no question. We went to. I basically got a scholarship to go on this thing. My grandparents paid half price for me to go on this trip to France with my French class. Did I ever meet Prince? I didn't meet Prince, but I exchanged glances with him at a Starbucks in Toronto, where apparently he had written the song "She's Always in My Hair" about his wife at the time, and she was driving him crazy. So he would go down to the Starbucks on Yonge Street and sit there and mix with headphones on, and people knew about it, and they just, because it was Canada, they left him the fuck alone. And I went in there one day, I had no idea. I was going to go see that they had a comedy club there in Toronto. I was like, I'm going to do some sets while I'm here. Then I was early. So I was like, I'll go in the Starbucks, get a beverage, and then I'll go to the club in about a half an hour. And I walk in there, and sure as shit, there's Prince sitting in the corner with a laptop and headphones on and one of those like scarves around his head and a very fine outfit. And I went like that, like looked right in his eyes, and he knew who I was, I felt, because he was like that, and that was it. That was the whole thing. That was my entire experience with Prince in a Starbucks in Toronto while I was doing Queer as Folk. Yeah, we did the hey, what's up nod. Yeah. I also did that with Al Gore in an airport once, too, and he went, and it was like, Hal, there you go. And I'd met him at a fundraiser. Yeah. Opinion on sleeper cells in the United States. I think they exist. I'm more concerned about right-wing lone wolves and sleeper cells than I am about Iranian sleeper cells. I mean, it's a serious thing you have to take seriously all the time. My only concern is that we have inserious morons running the FBI and stuff currently. I don't think the regular order people at the FBI would let something terrible happen. If they knew about it, they're going to do everything they can to stop it. But if you're waiting for Kash Patel or Bongholio or any of these people, or the dipshit that Trump, the 22-year-old, to put in charge of anti-terrorism, to be like one step ahead, you're going to be in trouble. So I would say head on swivel, everybody. Be nice, and not on swivel. Head on swivel, everyone. And if you see something, say something. Because if you're waiting for them to, solve the problem ahead of time, you're gonna end up charcoal. False flag coming? No. False flags are not nearly as prevalent as people think, and the reality of doing a false flag is often more work than it's worth. I want to hear you explain why the Talking Heads is a novelty band. Because David Byrne doesn't actually have a commitment to the music he's making when he's in the Talking Heads. He views it as like a secondary art project, which makes it a novelty, even if novelty isn't a negative word. Also, it's cute. All the music of Talking Heads is cute. That's also the other factor. So those two factors alone are what do it. Where you're going to get... hold on. Lost their cachet. Outdoor protests have bollards and other barriers between you and the main traffic. Okay, I'm mid conversation with some of the stuff that's on here. Would you interview Jacinta? Depends on which one, I guess. There are several. Might have also orange snoozer cells. Yeah, well, that would be the thing with, I'm more concerned about right-wingers who will snap and do shit. How have you read Metamorphosis? No. How one of my favorite shows is Friends. Have you ever met any of the cast members? Yes, I have. I met Matt back in the day. I met a couple of them at they have this Heal the Bay stuff for Santa Monica, and a couple of them have been at those things. Never really had a sit-down dinner or spoke to them at length, but just a hello. Yeah. Big Jennifer Aniston crush for a very long time. Just brutal. So luckily she wasn't one of the people, or I would have made a complete ass of myself. How bring Nerd Hale into Canada? I'm working on it. I'm glad you fixed shit too. The more the merrier, Dragon X Flyer. Do you think that ICE agents in plainclothes are actually Jan 6ers? Yeah, I'm sure there's an overlap of those guys. No question. Can you try out for Celebrity Jeopardy? I was already on Celebrity Jeopardy. I won. You guys don't know that? I won $50,000 for Doctors Without Borders on Celebrity Jeopardy. I've been a question on Jeopardy. I'll thank you. I thank you. And by the way, I don't even know if that's a good thing. Because, I suppose I want to be an easy question, like, very funny Sparks. And you're like, well, Hal, of course, right? You don't want to be like, oh, fuck, pass. That'd be a little sad. You and everyone with a Jennifer crush. Yeah, sure, okay. I mean, Courtney Cox in Ace Ventura. I mean, come on. Is that like borderline, Téa Leoni in Bad Boys? Please. You didn't know that, Diane? Yeah. I bet you invested it right. I didn't keep it. I gave it to Doctors Without Borders. I should host? That's not a bad idea. Sure. At least the celebrity one. You met some water chart, met a ton of celebs, shagged a few. Good for you. I have as well. Was like 2000 first episode? Yeah, that's right. Little known fact. Queer as Folk and Dude, Where's My Car came out the same weekend. Same weekend, the debut, the in theaters of Dude, Where's My Car and Queer as Folk. Aw, thanks, Ken. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Glad to do it. I always have a hard time figuring out stuff to add to the show that doesn't put things behind a paywall, for these kind of things. And I know it makes sense as far as putting food in my face, but it's difficult for me to do stuff like this and limit what I give to the public. My agent hated it. My stand-up agent fucking hated how available I was. You'll do anything. I'm like, yeah, and I don't charge for it. I'm just doing my thing because it's, especially when you come from nowhere and you don't have any family in the industry or whatever. I think, your first job is to be known, and that takes a lot. Who's your favorite actress? I'm going to go with Madeline Kahn. Yeah. When was Hal in Albuquerque? I've been there a few times. Been a bit. YouTube video of QAF anniversary. I sent. Sorry, did you get the YouTube video of the QAF? No, I didn't actually. Sorry, Andrea, pass that on to me if you could. I'm sorry if I missed it. There's a lot going on. Obviously, there's this whole thing with the show and Iran and the attack and stuff, and so. Sean Connery. I watched QAF and was 100%. Hal was gay. He obviously not, and that makes him a great actor. Thanks, 50 plus. Yeah, no, I'm not gay at all. That's why I was saying it ain't contagious. I don't care what the gay agenda is or what you assholes think it is, but I got to tell you, how can you get Jennifer Garner on? Would there be some bubble wrap available? Watch out. She was lovely. I met her when we were doing Dude, Where's My Car? She was a lovely person. I haven't seen, anything that would point to in the direction that she's anything but still awesome. Again, Hal, you're an island of reality and an ocean of mediocrity and diarrhea. My two black and white cats, Michelangelo and Vito, say hi. Aw, hi. Meow. Meow. What about Terry Garr? I love Terry Garr. I got to do shows on Oxygen with Terry Garr. Oh my God, she's so good. So fucking good. Especially her in Tootsie. Jesus Christ. She's not just funny, but her pathos, her dramatic moments in it are flawless. God damn, Terry Garr is so good. She Madeline Kahn and Terry Garr are why I want to punch Jerry Lewis in the fucking mouth. Because he was like, women aren't funny. I'm like, fuck you, buddy. You geek. Her Affleck joke in Deadpool was funny. Yeah. Young Frankenstein was amazing. Yeah. Love Terry Garr. Love Madeline Kahn. Yeah. Still have a Courtney Cox crush? Oh, man. Talk Soup was so great. You're welcome. Thanks. If you ever met Elizabeth Shue, I think you'd be a great host for the floor. Oh, I have not. I've not met Elizabeth Shue. But I do know a lot of people who think that Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead What do you think of Joel McHale? He seems like a nice enough guy. I've never spent any time with him. I've actually hung out with Henson more than him, and I barely seen him, but maybe 2 or 3 times. I've seen him the most of other. Well, no. Aisha Tyler, I've actually spent more time with. But long form hosts, I've seen John maybe 4 or 5 times. I've seen Joel McHale once at a thing, and I've met Greg Kinnear once. That was it. What do you plan to do when you hit 100,000 subs? Probably shirtless, something like that. I don't know. Huh? So was John Ritter. He was an ass. John Ritter was very nice when I met him. He was lovely. Completely, they fired you from Talk Soup just because you went off script too much. Oh yeah. One of the creepiest. I've only had like 2 creepy Hollywood moments in my entire fucking life. One was, I've talked about this before, was this casting agent who used to cast all like the kid roles and the teen roles in when I was in Chicago, and we would have to go to his apartment was where he cast out of, and he left the room and came back in his underwear, and it was fucking awful. And I was like, bye-bye, and I guarantee I lost multiple jobs because I wouldn't put up with that shit, and I left. The other one was when I had when I got hired for Talk Soup. The head of the programming, who went on to fuck up G5, by the way, the gaming network, or G4, yeah. Anyways, it went up to fuck up G4. He took me to lunch at the Ivy, which is like one of the big places you go, where you have like these dinner. Somebody takes you to lunch. It's very fancy. They take you to the Ivy. And it's a schmoozy place for, a lot of Hollywood, but it's cheaper. It's on the cheaper side of schmoozy. It's very, very E. And he said across the table, "I'm going to make you a star." And I remember going, "Isn't it up to me?" I mean, because everybody was like, with Talk Soup, everybody talked about what a springboard it is. Oh my God, Talk Soup, that's such a springboard. First of all, when I got on, there were only 2 hosts before me. One had been nominated for an Oscar, Greg, but it took him years, and John had just left, so God knows what, you hoped it would work out, because I would benefit from that mythology if it actually was a thing. If it was an automatic springboard, that's one thing, but a springboard, it matters where it's aimed, and being on a springboard that's aimed at a brick wall would suck, right? So yeah, G4 was a good channel, and then this guy John Reiber came in and fucked it up. But he actually said that to me at a lunch at the Ivy, and I remember being like, ugh. Is this where he invites me back to his house to like go for a swim? Like, it reeked of that. Yeah. But that casting director who's dead in Chicago, it was like the creepiest fucking thing ever. The rest of the time, I would like to say, for the rest of it, I have not run into, in Hollywood, this idea that everybody's fake and full of shit and stuff. It's not been my experience at all. I've worked with lovely people who give a damn about what they're doing and work very hard to put on good programming. And there was really no bullshit, and everybody was just trying to create a show that stayed on the air. That's it. Like, no mystery to it, no like fucking showbiz cabal or any shit like that, right? Just people trying to work everywhere around me. And some of the best friends I've ever made in my life. Good, decent, hardworking people, right? And the idea that somehow it's uniquely shitty compared to other industries or something is a fucking joke people tell themselves. A lot of times to just forgive themselves for failing, Yeah. That says a lot about you. Attract good people. I also reject the bad ones. I think maybe that might be it too. I've been to a couple of like dinners where I was like, am I being poached? Right? You have that moment, but it never really worked out that way. People ended up asking me my opinions about stuff, and they're fascinating. So, do you like Schitt's Creek? I do. I mean, I appreciate Eugene Levy and the entire SCTV crowd. So, yeah. Catherine O'Hara, all them, like, they're wonderful people. So it's actually very heartwarming to see them continue to work. And one of the greatest things about only murders in the building, is seeing a clear thread where Martin Short is making sure that people that were on SCTV and other shows that he worked on get another role. So Andrea Martin ending up on there, that's clearly, him having a say, and that's a great thing. You're good at reading people. That's a good trait to have. Yeah, it's a good survival instinct. Would you debate any right-wingers like Beck? Of course. Yeah. Madeline Kahn, Paper Moon, one of my favorite movies ever. Yeah, and I mean, Jesus Christ, her in History of the World, Part 1, and in Yellowbeard, god damn, and in Young Frankenstein. Yeah, Andrew Martin's lovely. But it's so nice to see, I love when I see people hire people that they care about and shit. It also makes me extra suspect when people don't. Kind of stands out. You know what I mean? When you're like, oh, they were on a show together, and that person's now a star in that other show. I wonder why they haven't brought those folks in. Now, obviously after like something like Queer as Folk, like Lab Rats You Could Order was a sidestep for anybody who would come and guest on because it was a sitcom as opposed to whatever, a step forward in their dramatic career or whatever. But so I would bring people in if they were looking or ask if people wanted to do stuff, but that was up to them. But yeah, so Jon Stewart, kind of full of shit. Cloris Leachman was amazing, yes. Yeah, they pulled a ladder up behind him. There's a couple of those running around. Yep. Eugene Levy as Bobby Bittman as the Ultimate Entertainer. I mean, for fuck's sake, SCTV was just so great. And John Candy, bless his heart. His daughter worked on Lab Rats as a stand-in with us. She was fantastic. Andrea's Martin's sister-in-law, yeah. And Martin's wife passed away. So, yeah. Do you have an inspirational chick flick? I don't know. Does Defending Your Life count? Yeah, I was born in 1969. Yes, Gilda Radner was amazing. I don't think Gilda got a chance because of her circumstance and maybe even her marriage to Gene, is that they were so kind of happy as a couple. I don't know that we got to see all she was capable of. You know what I mean? I felt like she was one of those people, had she survived, the work she would have gone on to do would have been amazing. I'm lukewarm on John Oliver. I appreciate his talent and the work that they're doing. Was she Bree stand-in? No, she was not. She was much taller than Bree. Yeah. Harvey Korman was great. I met Harvey Korman at, we used to go, when I taught Kung Fu, my buddy Brooks and I would take our class to this boba tea place back when you couldn't find those things on San Vicente. And there was a yoga studio upstairs, and then there was this boba tea place, and there's an Italian restaurant. And Tim Conway and Harvey Korman used to have lunch in the little courtyard there. And we would see him occasionally and go, oh shit, that's Harvey Korman. And so I got to say hi to him once. And that was really cool. I was a big fan. Yeah. But well before I was anybody. And then after that, again, I did CPR the night I found out I got talk soup at my Kung Fu class. An older man who was there had a heart attack at the health club we were at. And I saved his life, you're welcome, and postponed his death. I mean, depending on how you look at it. And then afterwards, after the ambulance took the guy away, I was standing there with my gi with blood on my lapel, basically, of it, and it was like this moment of silence, and we're all standing there, and I went, well, I guess this is as good a time as any to tell you guys, but I'm the new host of Talk Soup. True story. It's crazy weird. Do you ever meet any of the West Wing cast? Yeah, I mean, Martin Sheen came and did the Sexy Liberal things with us a couple times. And, of course, Lawrence O'Donnell worked on the show. And I worked with Rob Lowe on a couple things. Have you ever read Preacher by Garth Ennis? I have not. Good? Yeah, blood. Well, when the guy fell, I think he bit his lip, and he had blood coming out of his ear because he passed out and hit the ground. So I did CPR on him, and some of his blood got on me. Yeah. But he lived. So I do my best. There you go. Can't stand Martin Sheen? Okay. Why? Because of I have not met Vincent D'Onofrio, though I have talked to him online, which was lovely. I have met David Lee Roth. He gave me one of the best musician compliments I've ever had. He said, literally, this is a quote, "You're a better guitar player than you think you are." That's a true story, and which is awesome considering who he's worked around in his life. But Vincent D'Onofrio had a kid's book that came out, and I bought a copy of it for my son and to have around. And he was just he was very cool about it when we spoke online. And his politics are in the right place. He's a good guy. I would love to sit down and pick his brain because we have very different approaches to acting, and both I think have value. So, what do you think of Arnold? Hold on. How do you think of Arnold politics or action movies? Ironically enough, his politics ended up being a lot cleaner than people thought. Dude, you would love Preacher. The comic book Preacher, yes. Yes. You know who's a big fan of Preacher, the comic book? Tori Amos. So yeah, there you go. Keep picking. I will, Tom. Don't worry about it. It's going to happen. I insist. Do I like the Troma movies? I'm in a Troma movie. I did a movie called Chrome Hearts. It's my first movie. And it got bought by Troma and turned into Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town. And I played a blind orphan named Lance who carries an Uzi. And one of my lines was to say the word obsequious. Just by itself. Which I loved. True story. Love Carol Burnett. Oh my God. And I love Tori Amos, yes. I have a big collection of Tori Amos B-sides. Yeah, she was into Sandman too. That's true. She likes her graphic novels. Yeah. Yeah, that was me. Let's get traumatized. Preacher the Show is awesome too. I've seen the ads for it, but it's not on there. Yeah. Yes, that was me. I was Lance the blind orphan in Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town. Yeah. And do I have stories about that shoot. Holy shit. Yeah. Oh, wait, this is the title of it. This is when it was Chrome Hearts. Right? And this is Jamie Rose. My God, she was attractive when we were filming. And it wasn't just because I was 18. And we may or may not have, before each take, in this one scene where we were in the steeple of a church, made out before they said action. That may or may not have happened. Yeah, Billy Bob Thornton was in it. It's apparently where his career had hit rock bottom. And he said, basically, if I don't do something with my life, I'm going to end up being in shitty B movies for the rest of my life. True story. But that's Jamie. My Lord. Looks like a Prince band. It does, bit. Yeah. So, and then it became Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town. That would be this. And that's Don Calfa, who was in it. Licia Naff was also in it. Licia Naff was the triple-breasted prostitute in Total Recall, if you'll recall. That, yeah. And Martha Quinn was in it. I didn't have a scene with Martha Quinn, but I did meet her while I was doing that, which was very cool at the time. Robert Loggia's daughter was in it, so he came around at some point. October '89. It was we filmed it when I was in '88. Formerly known as Chrome Hearts and Cycle Sluts versus the Zombie Ghouls. There you go. It was released by Troma, features early roles by Billy Bob Thornton and Hal Sparks before they became famous. Look at that. There you go. I'm in the wiki. Good for me. I didn't even know that. This is my first time seeing the wiki on this thing, but that's true. Top Gun or Iron Eagle? Top Gun. And because of my girl. Hal, you're a man about town. You have no idea. I was about town all over the place during the filming of this. I'm just saying. Zip. My Lord. We filmed that in Death Valley, and I was almost killed by a rattlesnake bite. There you go. That's true. Ed Gale was also in it. Ed Gale was Chucky. He's got the longest burn of a little person ever. I was in Spider-Man 2 as well. That was great. Only scene with Toby where he's in the suit the whole time. I got to call action on 2 scenes that we're filming that they were doing between my stuff, and yeah. And I'm a huge fan of Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, and so it was a huge deal for me to like. Yeah. Anyways, the whole thing was exciting. This is let's see if I don't even know if there's a. Yeah, I haven't even looked at my wiki in a long time. Shall we see what's right about my stuff? There we go. Sparks was born September 25th, 1969. That's true, in Cincinnati, Ohio. Grew up in Peekskill, Kentucky, outside of Frankfurt. That's true. Played Dungeons & Dragons every Sunday with a group of friends at the local library in Frankfurt. Wasn't every Sunday, but yes, pretty close. Age of 11, he became the de facto dungeon master. That's true. When he was 14, he moved to the Chicago area, enrolled in New Trier High School in Winnetka. That's true. Where he entered the theater department despite some initial opposition by his father. He was literally against it. He refused. By 15, he began performing stand-up comedy, and 17, won the funniest teen in Chicago. That's true. Sponsored by the Chicago Sun-Times and WBEZ Radio. Yep. First breakout roles in the mainstream movie was Dude, Where's My Car? All right, yeah, because they're not going with Chopper Chicks. Is that right? Let's see, 2009 interview with We Are Movie Geeks. He confirmed he created the hand gesture, the Z hand gesture, which is its own thing. There was somebody who was like, the Pittsburgh Pirates started doing it. This is true. It was in Dickie Roberts' former child star. That's true. And Spider-Man and Extract. And, yeah. He started Deputy Dale in Lightning Bug, written by Robert Hall. Bless his heart. He's no longer with us. Who was original bandmate. And that's true. He was my bass player. There's me again with short hair. There we go. First thing. Screen debut on the television movie Frog. Shelley Duvall. She produced it. And Elliot Gould, who I was very excited to meet because my mom was a big MASH fan from the movie. And then Scott Grimes, who was... and then upon graduation, he moved to L.A. That's true. Was in Talk Soup. He appeared as himself in the music video Beat It by Fall Out Boy. That's true. They also went to New Trier. And voiced a cameo on Robot Chicken. I did multiple ones on there, actually. Various television, Lois and Clark. Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. That's true. Martial Law, where I met Kelly Hu was lovely and had a massive crush on her. Frasier, One-on-One, CSI, Las Vegas. Las Vegas is where I met James Caan and Rob Lowe. And also... yeah. Well, all right, I'll leave that. Let's see. CNN's Your Money, regular guest on CNN's Your Money. That's true. Joy Behar, The View. That's right. I was on there as well. I did the Progressive Voices Cruise, which is when I beat Rachel Maddow at basketball. And she's never been able to live it down. Leading role in the breakout Showtime series Queer as Folk, where he played Michael Novotny, a gay man living in Pittsburgh with his queer friends. This is a great description, sure. Russell T. Davies created it, and he hated the show ultimately. It's a very strange thing. I'd love to sit and talk with him about it. He became the voice for Tack and Power Juju, that's right, for Nickelodeon. What? Placing Jason Marsden. Ran for 12 episodes, 2010. He did? I thought I replaced him for Fuller House, right? Yeah, that's right. That's wrong. Did I replace his other job? Did he do that as well? I don't know. Anyways, I did Nelson on Fuller House. That was one episode. It's very strange. And then Donald Davenport in Lab Rats, who is, of course, I am convinced that my character is the son of Fred Gwynn's character in Secret of My Success. There we go. Did that. I did the voice of Mr. Q on 20Q. That's right. And then I hosted Treasure Mall. That's right. When I was the youngest game show host in history, I was 17 years old. I was the host of I was the captain of the Chicago Hitmen on Dodgeball. Right. There you go. In 2006, there we go. Hal competed for the charity Habitat for Humanity on the Fox Celebrity Competition. Do what? No. That was, oh, well, I guess, yes, I did. That's true. For that. And I sang with Smokey Robinson, Gladys Knight, Winona Judd, Dennis DeYoung, Dee Snider, Sebastian Bach, I made it to the finale along with Lucy Lawless and Alfonso Ribeiro. I came in third in the series because I was the only person who wasn't on broadcast television. I host Survival of the Richest. That's true. Also, Sparks joined Roseanne to host Nick at Night's Search for America's Funniest Mom. That was super fucking weird. Celebricadabra is where I actually met my girlfriend Summer. With Ant, Lisa Ann Walter, Carney Wilson, Christopher Kidd Reed, Kimberly Wett, and C. Thomas Howell. How was the winner? Sparks taking second place. It's always better to come in second or third because people prefer you to the winner. And then there's Charmageddon. And then premiere of Famously Afraid on the Travel Channel with celebrities tell their personal... Oh, yeah, that's my alien story. Yeah, that almost cost me custody of my kid doing that show. Don't get me started. And then VH1, I love this. You're welcome. And then radio was in there and this kind of stuff. And there's me chewing gum. You can see the gum in my mouth right there. And then in the picture, then my band. And then it was released to that's right. And then 2000, Sparks and Loretta 01 participated in Doug's solo project Strum Some Up. Yep. And the other guys in my band. And then I was a contestant in the first season of Celebrity Duets. And then stand-up, and then I'm funny, and then my personal life, let's see, AIDS Walk, Farm Sanctuary, Little Claire, Imagine a Cure, Marijuana Policy Project, even though I've never done drugs. He is straight edge and claims to have never drunk, smoked, or used recreational drugs. That claim is true, and also I have not. And then there's announced in 2011, May, that he would become a father during a live stream, Ustream show. That's right. And Camden was at the 2011 AIDS Walk. That's true. I've studied martial arts since I was 8. That's right. And Pittsburgh Pirates started using the Zoltan hand symbol, which was really cool. After a Twitter campaign for the real Zoltan to appear at a game, I flew to Pittsburgh. I still have the jersey. It's in the other room. I am a Freemason. That is true. I am from Lodge 42, and I'm also a 32nd degree Mason. So that should probably be a detail in there. And then I do not live in Chinatown right now. This has not been updated. But there we are. There you go. Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town is the very first thing. And then Invader, was that my... I don't know. There was a thing. There's a missing thing in here. There's a missing show. Oh, those are films. Okay, maybe that... Wait, hold on. TV. Frog, Treasure Mall, Lois and Clark, Dr. Quinn, Signs and Wonders. Nightstand. There it is. Nightstand. 95, 96. Thank you to Judy Toll, bless her heart, for getting me that role because that saved my ass and gave me something to do. I was Father Chip. No relation to my cat. Yeah, you know, and I played Father Chip, the rock and roll priest, where I played guitar and sang. Oh, and can I show you something? This is Father Chip's guitar. This is the guitar I've had. Remember I showed you this the other day? This is the guitar I played on that episode. That's so hilarious. I forgot that was actually there, and it's actually I just fixed it and restrung it and did some work on it recently. So that's awesome. And I'm way over time and I got to go. It's 6 o'clock. So I got to bail out. I got to hit the road and head to Los Angeles. So much love to you guys. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. And I will, tomorrow, no show because I'm on Fritz Coleman's podcast. Then I've got sound check. Then I've got the show. Then I got to drive back. So Wednesday morning will be the next show. Just letting you know. Wish me luck. I've got 5 songs to do, and I'm playing guitar on 3 of them. No, 6 songs to do. Yeah, I'm playing 6 songs. I'm on 6 songs. I'm only singing 5. I'm playing guitar on Kick Out the Jams. So there you go. Anyways, much love. Talk to you later. It's so exciting. And there you go. Rocker number 2 in Signs and Wonders. Oh yeah, that's where I got the scar on my knuckle. I don't even know if you can see that. On that knuckle, there's a scar on the outside. That's from a piece of this. We were in a fender bender in the story, and I picked up a piece of the fender. They were like, hey, can you hold this and like wave it while you're talking? And it was fiberglass, and it slit my finger open. So I bled all over the place during the set on Signs and Wonders. Good stuff. Rendezvous, that was fun. Yep. One-on-one was very weird. Bleacher Bums was a great experience. Yep. Yeah. Robot chickens. I'm a hard-working man. Look at all this stuff. Look at all this stuff I did. Come on now. Grey's Anatomy. That was weird. I got to say, that was an odd experience. I was like, I need to be a character actor on a bunch of other shows, and that was the first thing that came up, and I was like, Okay, not doing that again. I'd rather be Hal Sparks as opposed to fill-in guy. So we'll have that conversation later. Anyways, much love, everybody. I'll let you go. Take care, and I'll see you soon. That was good. Thank you guys for the super chats and making this AMA happen. I'm more than happy to do these and CSL, if we can slice this AMA off as its own thing. Feel free to, we can add these things and people can watch them if they haven't seen them before, because they're a gift from the people who give us our super chats. So awesome. Bye. Thanks so much, guys. I gotta go drive.